Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this What If story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by Demon Cruiser on Wattpad. Now let's start. A young boy was running away, injured and desperate, hiding behind some bushes. He peeked out to see a girl who looked exactly like him, along with a girl with red and white hair and another with ash blonde hair. They were searching for him, calling out his name and insisting that he couldn't hide forever. They warned him that he needed to accept his fate, that he couldn't be a hero. Izuku Yagi lay on the ground, feeling defeated. He cursed his situation, lamenting that it wasn't his fault he was born this way and questioning why he had to suffer. His life had been wonderful until he turned 4 and was diagnosed as quirkless. Since then, it had become a nightmare. His parents had ignored him in favor of his sister, and he had endured years of bullying from her. Despite the hardships, there were still bright spots in his life. He had loving uncles and aunts who, though not always present, brought him joy when they were. His grandparents showered him with affection, and he had 3 older cousins he considered siblings. Yet, deep down, he felt that someone was watching over him. Whenever the weather changed, new clothes would mysteriously appear. When his extended family couldn't provide food, a hot meal would suddenly be in front of him. Even after a brutal encounter with his sister and her friends, he would wake up healed. He believed he had a guardian angel. As he stood up, he sensed something behind him and turned to look. He felt a calling, something urging him to enter a cave he had never noticed before. As he ventured deeper, a sense of foreboding washed over him. In the center of the cave, he spotted a sword, the Inetsu, bound by chains. Intrigued, he approached it, and as he touched the sword, the chains began to break, releasing a surge of power that coursed through his body. He felt a presence watching him. A sinister voice echoed in the cave, revealing that after centuries, it was free but bound to him. The voice intended to consume him and take over his body. As the dark presence began to change him, his green eyes turned black, and his hair became straight and dark. His diamond-shaped freckles vanished, and the voice proclaimed its intent to rule the world. Suddenly, another figure appeared, placing a mark on Izuku and sealing the dark presence within him. As Izuku drifted into unconsciousness, he caught a glimpse of a man with white curly hair and blue eyes. The man carried him outside the cave, whispering apologies and expressing regret for what had happened to him. Izuku passed out before he could hear more. The man laid Izuku in the grass and, in a shocking act, broke the neck of a copy of Izuku's original body, placing it near a tree. Hearing footsteps, he quickly hid, concealing the body as 2 others approached. Shanks expressed frustration at being too late, realizing the sword had bonded with a child. Sirius questioned why the sword hadn't corrupted him, and Shanks speculated that someone must have intervened. Mihawk noted that someone had sealed the sword within the boy to contain it, and they agreed not to extract it, fearing it would harm him. They decided to take Izuku back to their hotel, where he could explain what had happened. As they left, the mysterious man emerged from hiding, smiling at the scene. He hoped these people would provide the hope and family Izuku truly deserved. He vowed to protect him from the shadows until the time came for their inevitable confrontation. Izuku was unaware that his life was about to change for the better. He would find a new family and love, even with the cursed sword bonded to him. He would meet amazing people who would accept him for who he was. Later, Sirius and Mihawk sat in front of the boy, whose appearance had changed significantly. As Izuku groaned and rubbed his eyes, he wondered what was happening. Sirius reassured him that he was in their hotel room and that they had found him. Izuku asked about the sword, and Mihawk explained that it was inside him. Surprised, Izuku questioned if it would harm him, but Mihawk urged him to relax and listen. He introduced himself as Mihawk Dracule, while Sirius introduced himself as Sirius Vermilion. Izuku, feeling a mix of confusion and hope, introduced himself as the #1 hero of the world in France, bowing in greeting. Sirius noted how impressive the kid was for knowing who they were. Izuku asked for an explanation about Inetsu. Mihawk explained that the sword Izuku possessed was no ordinary sword. It was a cursed sword. Izuku was taken aback by this revelation. Mihawk continued, saying that those who wield the sword gain incredible power, but their bodies would gradually become consumed by it, transforming them into something inhuman. Izuku understood the gravity of the situation but felt a sense of hopelessness. He expressed his frustration about suffering such a fate. Mihawk inquired about Izuku's background, and Izuku shared his painful story of being diagnosed as quirkless. He revealed that his parents had completely forgotten about him, leaving him to fend for himself. He had learned to cook, bathe, and do laundry on his own, having worked since he was 4 just to have something to eat. Sirius expressed anger at the neglect Izuku faced and asked about his relatives. Izuku acknowledged that his relatives helped him occasionally, but he couldn't rely on them for everything. They provided food and clothes on his birthday, but he understood their busy lives as heroes. When asked about siblings, Izuku mentioned his sister and her friends, who discouraged him from pursuing his dream of becoming a hero and sometimes used their quirks against him. Mihawk pointed out that she wasn't truly his sister, to which Izuku agreed. Mihawk then asked about Izuku's appearance, and Izuku described his green curly hair, green eyes, and diamond-shaped freckles. He realized that the Inetsu had altered his appearance. Sirius suggested they take a break and watch some TV, but a special report caught their attention. The reporter announced the tragic news about the son of the number 1 hero, All Might, and the number 4 hero, Extreme, being found dead. The report showed All Might preventing Inko from reaching Izuku's body as she cried for her son. Izuku felt a chill run down his spine and wondered if it was connected to him. Mihawk confirmed they hadn't known about it. Izuku speculated that someone had been looking out for him, as he often woke up healed after being beaten by his sister and her friends, finding warm meals and fresh clothes beside him. Mihawk asked how long this had been happening, and Izuku replied it began when he was 4. He initially thought it was his relatives helping him, but now he believed someone else was watching over him. Sirius suggested it could be a guardian angel. Izuku recalled being saved just before a cave-in after retrieving the sword. Mihawk asked for a description of the person, and Izuku remembered white curly hair, blue eyes, and freckles like his own. Mihawk speculated that this sounded like All for One, questioning why the number 1 villain would be interested in Izuku. Sirius warned that if people discovered Izuku's connection to All for One, he would be hunted by both heroes and villains. Izuku pondered his next steps, realizing he could use this opportunity to create a new identity and life for himself. Sirius encouraged him, and Mihawk offered to adopt Izuku along with his wife, explaining that they understood loneliness and wanted to help him. Sirius added that they could teach him to control the Inetsu and its power, allowing him to pursue his dream of being a hero. Izuku accepted their offer, understanding the need for secrecy regarding his past to ensure everyone's safety. Meanwhile, the hero commissioner arrived home, took off her shoes, and headed to the kitchen for a drink. She expressed her frustration to All for One, who revealed that Izuku was not All Might's son. As she read through the evidence he presented, she was shocked to learn the truth about Izuku's situation and the neglect he faced. All for One made it clear he wanted justice for his son and proposed a deal to the hero commissioner. If she kept his son's identity a secret, he would provide valuable information about the top villains in the world. He expressed his belief that Izuku could change the hero society for the better, despite his own disdain for heroes. The hero commissioner recognized the strength of All for One's resolve and the potential consequences if anyone tried to stop Izuku from becoming a hero. As their conversation concluded, she questioned why he hadn't turned his son to his side, but All for One simply walked away, leaving her with lingering thoughts. All for One, as their father, had a dream for his 3 children, that they would pursue their dreams and live happy lives. That was what a true parent did. When asked about his 2 older children, he assured that they were fine with people he trusted. There was a concern about whether they knew about each other, but he believed they would eventually find out. Izuku, the youngest of the trio, stood in front of the private plane that would take him far away to start over and return even stronger. He glanced at Mihawk and Sirius, feeling a mix of anticipation and determination. Mihawk encouraged him, stating he would come back stronger than before, even stronger than All Might. Sirius added that Izuku would show everyone how wrong they were about him, Mihawk reminded him to be ready for the challenges ahead, and Izuku affirmed his resolve. As he boarded the plane, he looked back at the city, clenching his fists with determination. He vowed to return stronger and prove his worth. As the plane took off, a man stood atop a building, watching it leave. He smiled, a tear slipping down his cheek, confident that his son would come back stronger and fulfill his destiny as a hero. Meanwhile, the Yagi family stood before Nizu and the UA staff, alongside the Bakugo and Todoroki families. Nizu expressed disbelief that All Might and Inko had forgotten about their son for 6 years, focusing solely on Izumi. The atmosphere grew tense as accusations flew, revealing that Izumi Yagi, Katsumi Bakugo, and Shoka Todoroki had bullied and abused Izuku out of fear for his safety as a quirkless hero. Izumi, overwhelmed with emotion, admitted her wrongdoing. Aizawa condemned their actions, mourning the loss of his nephew, while others voiced their anger and disappointment. All Might, grappling with his failures, was reminded that love, not BLD, defined fatherhood. A shocking revelation came when HC revealed that Izuku was not All Might's biological son, and that Izumi was not even his twin sister. The truth unraveled, leaving everyone in disbelief. HC laid out the consequences for the families: significant financial penalties and strict conditions for the children if they wished to attend UA. They would have to wear anti-quirk bracelets, complete community service, and attend therapy. Any misstep would result in severe repercussions. As the families departed, HC revealed to the remaining staff that Izuku was alive. The body in the morgue had been a fake. The real Izuku had bonded with the Inetsu sword, a cursed weapon that could lead its wielder into darkness. Although the sword was sealed within him for now, it would take time for its influence to manifest. Midnight questioned how Izuku had survived, and HC explained that his father, Hisashi Midoriya, also known as All for One, had helped him. The revelation shocked everyone, but HC presented documents proving Izuku's lineage. They learned that he was with Mihawk and Sirius, the #1 heroes from France, who would assist him in controlling his newfound powers. Aizawa questioned whether HC would stop Izuku from becoming a hero, but she revealed that she had made a deal with All for One, who had changed in ways they couldn't fully understand. The future remained uncertain, but hope lingered for Izuku's journey ahead. He made a deal for his son, Izuku. Nizu inquired if this involved the arrest of the #2 through #10 villains in Japan and the top 10 worldwide. HC explained that AFO provided their locations, and he had contacted the UN, which led to their arrest. However, AFO requested that they not touch his 3 children. RG noted that AFO had more children, an older daughter and son, along with Izuku. HC confirmed that AFO insisted they be left alone and expressed a longing for his son to become a hero. RG remarked that AFO was a villain to the world but a father to his kids. HC agreed, adding that AFO had mentioned a serious threat if Izuku revealed his new identity, and if Endeavor and All Might tried to intervene, the #1 and 2 heroes would no longer be alive. GT reacted to this revelation, realizing AFO was willing to go to great lengths for his son. Niza found this situation intriguing. HC suggested they ensure Izuku's safety until he returned. Midnight expressed sadness at not being able to see him for a couple of years but felt relieved that he had someone to protect him. HC and Nizu agreed to wait, and everyone felt happy knowing Izuku would be reunited with them soon. In the next chapter, titled New Family, the narrator described Izuku waking up to find Mihawk drinking wine while Sirius was eating. Mihawk greeted Izuku, who responded cheerfully. Sirius offered him something to eat, and Izuku happily accepted pancakes and milk, enjoying his new life. After a few hours, they arrived in Paris, France, and exited the private airplane. As they passed through customs and headed outside, they spotted 4 girls waiting for them. The 2 red-haired girls rushed towards Sirius, who greeted them warmly, asking how his daughters were doing. They both expressed their happiness at his return. Astria questioned Mihawk about the kid and the Inetsu, to which Mihawk explained that they were too late to retrieve it, and it had bonded with Izuku. Robin was surprised, while Astria expressed concern about Izuku's age and the sword's outcome. Mihawk suggested they go home to discuss it further. Once they arrived home, Mihawk introduced Izuku to his new living situation. Robin corrected Izuku when he referred to it as not home, reminding him to say he was home. She assured him that this was his new home and that she would be his new mom, expressing confidence that his parents would be happy he had a new family. They all settled inside, and Izuku sat next to Sirius. Mihawk explained that Izuku came into possession of the sword by accident while hiding. Izuku shared his painful backstory, revealing that after being diagnosed as quirkless, his parents had forgotten about him, leaving him to fend for himself. Nico expressed outrage at his parents' actions, while Mihawk clarified that they were All Might and his wife. Astria called them evil, and Izuku recounted how he had been bullied by his sister and her friends for wanting to be a hero. Luna Eyes agreed that such behavior was unacceptable. Izuku recounted how he had stumbled into a cave where the sword called to him. Touching it, he experienced a life-changing event, during which a man with white hair and blue eyes saved him. Robin questioned why All for One would save him, and Mihawk explained that Izuku's appearance had changed after that incident. Sirius added that the body was a fake, and they were unsure why or how it had happened. Izuku speculated that it might be related to someone who always left him helpful items when he needed them. Astria pointed out that the power was sealed, and Nico noted that only one person possessed such a strong sealing quirk. Izuku resolved to harness and control his power, declaring that even though it felt like a curse, he would use it to become a hero and show others that it takes a heart to be a hero, not just a quirk. Luna Eyes admired his determination. Stella playfully scolded Izuku for his hard-to-pronounce name, insisting on calling him Ikki from then on. Izuku accepted the new name, and Mihawk agreed, although he warned that Izuku couldn't take his last name due to potential dangers. Izuku shared a story he had read about a knight named Kurogane who sought peace, deciding to adopt the name Ikki Kurogane. This made him smile, and Stella blushed at the sight, which amused her family. Ikki eagerly asked Mihawk when they would train, but Mihawk suggested they first ensure he was settled. Robin noted that Ikki hadn't brought any clothing, so she used her quirk to grab him and her purse, announcing a shopping trip. Astria, Luna Eyes, and Stella joined them, leaving the two men alone. Mihawk pondered why All for One hadn't come to retrieve his son, considering he had ample opportunity to bring Ikki to his side. Sirius speculated that AFO might not want his son to follow in his footsteps. Suddenly, they turned to see All for One standing there, still as formidable as ever. Mihawk demanded to know what he wanted, and AFO stated they needed to discuss his son. Sirius agreed to listen. AFO revealed that Ikki wasn't alone. He had two older siblings, a brother and a sister. Mihawk urged him to continue. AFO explained that there were important things to know about Izuku Mihawk. He had taken Izuku's quirk away because it was too dangerous for him to possess, even stronger than his own. Sirius inquired about One for All, and AFO confirmed that Izuku's quirk was even more powerful. Meanwhile, Ikki felt the pressure of showing off some outfits, but he refused to wear those he didn't like. He was grateful for the new clothes he received. He thought to himself that this new life would be good. Izuku Yagi, now Ikki Kurogane, was ready to embrace a life filled with happiness, unaware that his past was filled with sorrow over his loss and the truth about what had happened to him. Some people accepted their blame, while others pointed fingers at Izuku himself. Regret filled their hearts as they wished for a chance to meet him in the afterlife to make amends and be a family again. A voice echoed in their minds, expressing sorrow and a longing for redemption. Ikki Kurogane had transformed into a different boy, surrounded by a family that would love him. As the new chapter began, Ikki woke up, taking in his surroundings and remembering that he was living a new life, free from his past. He got up, donned his school uniform, and headed downstairs, where he found Robin preparing breakfast and Hawkeye reading the paper while sipping coffee. He greeted them cheerfully, and they responded warmly. Robin handed him a breakfast sandwich and orange juice, and Ikki expressed his gratitude. Hawkeye asked if he was ready for his first day at school, and Ikki replied with enthusiasm, mentioning that Stella would be there too. Robin reminded him to always show respect, and Mihawk advised him to say that his quirk involved a sword that granted him extra abilities. After breakfast, the doorbell rang, and Robin used her quirk to open the door, revealing Stella and Urza. They were ready to take Ikki to school. After saying goodbye to Robin and Mihawk, they walked toward the school, where 𝐒𝐮𝐻 left them at the front gates, reminding them to be careful. Once inside, Stella guided Ikki to the main office, where he submitted his transfer student paperwork. He soon met his teacher, Arnold Lakefield, who welcomed him to the class. Arnold introduced Ikki to the students, who greeted him enthusiastically. Ikki introduced himself and explained his quirk, which allowed him to summon a sword that enhanced his abilities, though he couldn't move afterward. His charming smile caught the attention of the girls in the class. Arnold assigned Ikki to sit next to Adrian, who introduced himself and complimented Ikki's quirk. Ikki thanked him, and as class began, he surprised everyone with his intelligence. When lunchtime arrived, Adrian eagerly pulled Ikki along, warning him about the girls who were curious about him. Ikki agreed to join him for lunch. Meanwhile, Stella sighed at Adrian's antics, and Marinette, another friend, joined them. They headed to the cafeteria, where they found Ikki and Adrian discussing video games. Their conversation flowed easily, with both agreeing on their favorite titles and characters. As they enjoyed their lunch, Marinette and Stella joined them. Adrian playfully called Marinette Princess, causing her to blush. They all shared laughter and stories, and when Ikki revealed his past, he explained that he had faced difficulties with his family and had been adopted by Stella's uncle, Shanks. The conversation shifted as teachers discussed All Might's potential retirement, expressing concern for the chaos it might bring to Japan. Stella suggested they return to class, and they all agreed. After school, Ikki and his friends walked home together. 𝐒𝐻𝐻 greeted them as they arrived, and Ikki shared that he had made a new friend. When he mentioned Adrian's identity as the mayor's son, Mihawk confirmed that Adrian preferred to keep that information private. Ikki felt a mix of emotions as he navigated his new life, determined to embrace the future while grappling with the complexities of his past. Robin noted that the only good thing was that Ikki had made a friend, which pleased her. Ikki expressed his gratitude to his mother, and Mihawk instructed Ikki to complete his homework and wash his hands before dinner, after which they could begin training. Ikki complied and went to his room to finish his homework. Once he had eaten, he trained with his father until dinner time. Ikki pondered the situation regarding his past. Meanwhile, in Japan, All Might was conducting his usual patrol from atop a building when he felt a presence nearby. All for One taunted him, suggesting that All Might, being quirkless, should have understood his son better but failed to do so. All Might dismissed the comment, and All for One continued to mock him, threatening to disturb his son's grave and turn him into a monster. All Might firmly declared that All for One would not come near his son, prompting All for One to laugh and challenge him. Ikki had been living with Mihawk and Robin for the past 2 years, and his life had significantly improved. He had begun therapy, which was helping him immensely. One day, Adrian invited Ikki to the arcade, but Ikki declined, explaining that he needed to return home at his mother's request. Adrian considered asking Marinette to join them, and Ikki encouraged him to do so. As they walked home together, Ikki and Stella speculated about the reason for their early return. Ikki expressed his happiness about being with them, sharing that he no longer had troubling thoughts and felt grateful to Mihawk and Robin for saving him from his past. Stella was glad to hear this, and they shared a moment of connection, holding hands and smiling at each other. 𝐒𝐻𝐻, observing them, teased them before leading the way home. Upon arriving, they were greeted by another girl, Yuta. Ikki introduced himself, and Stella explained that he was Robin and Mihawk's adopted son. Yuta was pleased to meet him, and soon after, Mihawk introduced Ikki to Shanks, who expressed his interest in Ikki's cursed sword, Inetsu. Ikki summoned the sword, and Shanks remarked on its unique form, suggesting that it had changed due to Ikki's past experiences and the negativity that had affected him. Shanks speculated that the seal on Ikki's curse mark might be preventing him from becoming a villain, leaving Ikki to wonder why someone would protect him in such a way. Yuta expressed her longing to hold the sword, but Shanks explained that only Ikki could do so because of their bond. Ikki then revealed that he had been sensing a dark energy watching him from a distance, which Shanks identified as observation haki. Mihawk suggested that the presence might be All for One, and Shanks asked to test Ikki's abilities. He explained that Haki was a manifestation of one's spirit that could unlock incredible powers. When Shanks demonstrated his own Haki, Ikki felt its immense pressure but instinctively countered it with his own Conqueror Haki, surprising everyone. Shanks confirmed that Ikki had indeed used Conqueror Haki without realizing it, and Mihawk noted that this meant Ikki's training would become more intense. Ikki was eager to learn more about Haki, and Robin explained its three forms: Observation Haki, which allows users to predict movements; Armament Haki, which creates protective armor; and Conqueror Spirit, which can control the will of others. Ikki was fascinated and expressed his longing to train in these abilities. Meanwhile, back in Japan, All Might paused during his patrol to take a drink when Endeavor approached him, criticizing him for becoming pathetic. All Might dismissed the comment, determined to continue his mission. Endeavor expressed his frustration, reminding AM that his nephew had been the one to help him recognize his shortcomings as a family member. AM acknowledged the truth of Endeavor's words but felt the weight of guilt. Endeavor urged AM to stop dwelling on the past, insisting that Izuku was gone and it was time to move forward. He warned AM that sulking would only make him appear selfish, especially since his wife and daughter were suffering. He revealed that Izumi was struggling with self-harm and Inko was neglecting her own health. AM was taken aback by this news, realizing the impact of his actions. Endeavor encouraged him to embrace his role as a husband and father, emphasizing the importance of breaking the cycle of pain. AM promised to change, but he questioned whether Izuku would ever forgive him. Endeavor reminded him that he could not speak for the deceased and that Izuku had harbored resentment. AM resolved to try his best, leaving Endeavor to shed a tear for his nephew. Endeavor vowed to honor his promise to be a better husband and father, looking up at the sky for guidance. Meanwhile, Ikki was on the rooftop, gazing at the night sky. He found solace in the stars and moon, reflecting on how they had always brought him peace. Suddenly, he was playfully rolled down by Robin, who had come to check on him. She asked what he was doing outside, and Ikki shared that he sought comfort in the night sky, reminiscing about better times. However, he expressed concern that his cursed sword might bring him more pain in the future, despite the love and support he had found from his parents and friends. He blushed as he mentioned someone special who was helping to mend his heart. Robin guessed it was Stella, and they decided to head back inside, as tomorrow was an important day, Ikki's 12th birthday. The next day, Ikki eagerly awaited his birthday celebration with friends and family. Adrian arrived first, wishing him a happy birthday. They exchanged high fives and dove into video games. Soon, Stella and her family joined them, bringing excitement to the gathering. As they played, Ikki celebrated his victory in a game, while Marinette arrived, apologizing for her tardiness but wishing him well. The atmosphere was filled with camaraderie and support as Adrian and Marinette learned about Ikki's past, which sparked their anger toward his former family. They shared their aspirations, with Adrian wanting to inherit his father's business and Marinette dreaming of running her parents' bakery. As the party continued, Ikki felt grateful for the love surrounding him. After blowing out the candles on his cake, he received thoughtful gifts from his friends, including a limited edition arcade game from Marinette and a drone from Stella. Mihawk shared the good news that Ikki's past had been officially erased, making him their child. Just then, a DLVY man arrived with a package for Ikki, sparking curiosity about who had sent it. Mihawk signed for the package, and the family gathered to see what surprise awaited Ikki. Ikki grabbed the box and opened it, only for a puppy to jump out and start licking his face. It tickled and he laughed, asking if he could keep the puppy. Robin, not entirely convinced, looked to Mihawk for guidance. Mihawk, however, wanted to discuss something important with Robin, Shanks, and Sirius. He suggested that Ikki go play with the dog outside. As they stepped outside, Mihawk turned to Sirius and expressed his concerns. He believed they were correct about Ikki being the son of All for One. Sirius was taken aback, and Mihawk revealed a DVD he had received. When they played it, AFO appeared on the screen. AFO introduced himself as Izuku Midoriya and acknowledged that he knew they had his son. He assured them that he had no intention of taking Ikki away from them. Instead, he wanted them to train Ikki to become the best person he could be. He mentioned that Ikki had two older siblings who would meet him in the future and explained that he had kept his identity hidden to prevent his children from following his dark path. FO revealed that his quirk had a mind of its own, which worried him, as it could take control at any moment. He wanted Mihawk to train Ikki, as he believed his other side might come after him. FO also mentioned that Ikki was not quirkless. His quirk, called Void, was powerful and dangerous. He had sent the Husky to keep Ikki company and assured them that arrangements had been made for Ikki to attend UA with the hero commoner. He expressed his love for Ikki and his siblings, hoping they would know he would always support them. Mihawk pondered their next steps, and Robin suggested they train Ikki to become stronger, while Shanks emphasized the importance of saving his father. Sirius agreed but pointed out that Ikki's quirk was becoming more challenging to control. Robin noted that Ikki still had some control, and with training, he could help manage his other half. Mihawk asked Ikki what he thought, and Ikki, smiling, expressed his determination to become stronger and save his father from himself. Mihawk encouraged him, proud of his spirit. At 14, Ikki had been living a fulfilling life, surrounded by friends and family who believed in him. Although he felt a twinge of disappointment that his biological family did not support his dream of becoming a hero, he found solace in the bonds he had formed with those around. His stepfather, Mihawk, had been a guiding figure, teaching him right from wrong, while his mother, Robin, instilled in him the values of respect and kindness. Ikki cherished the time spent with Shanks, who treated him like family, and he admired his older sister, Erza, despite her intimidating presence. Marinette had shown him the importance of believing in others, and Adrian had become his closest friend, always ready to support him. Ikki felt grateful for his new family. Currently, he had developed crushes on two girls, Yuta and Stella. Yuta was focused on her music career, which left Ikki spending more time with Stella, whose tsundere personality both frustrated and amused him. He found her cute, and his feelings for her were growing stronger. During spring break, Ikki decided to train alone in the forest, seeking solitude to clear his mind. As he worked out with a boulder on his shoulder, he suddenly felt the weight shift, and the boulder shattered. Startled, he rolled away from an incoming sword attack and summoned his own sword to confront the assailant. The stranger introduced himself as Kurado Kurashiki and revealed he possessed a cursed sword like Ikki's. Ikki was taken aback, and Kurashiki explained that his sword, Sword Eater, was similar to Inetsu. He had come to challenge Ikki to a fight. Ikki accepted the challenge, and they charged at each other, their swords clashing in a fierce battle, each equally matched and determined not to give the other an advantage. Meanwhile, Shanks was reading a newspaper, surrounded by the others, when he noticed Stella pouting. Erza teased her about missing Ikki, while Sirius offered a more philosophical perspective, suggesting that sometimes a person needs time alone to discover themselves. Stella dismissed this notion, insisting that Ikki should have said goodbye. They all sensed that Inetsu was out, indicating that something significant was happening with Ikki and his opponent. Mihawk observed the situation closely, noting that Ikki seemed to be in trouble. Sirius decided to call Shanks back to the fight. Kurashiki complimented Ikki on his swordsmanship, and Ikki returned the sentiment, expressing his longing for a worthy opponent. They both agreed to engage in battle, sprinting toward each other and clashing swords, creating shockwaves that rippled through the forest. Ikki recognized Kurashiki as a hockey user, and Kurashiki acknowledged Ikki's abilities as well. They both activated their hockey, sending a powerful aura that resonated throughout the country, causing nearby animals to flee in fear. Adrian, who was with Marinette, sensed the intensity of Ikki's hockey, noting that it felt different this time, as if Ikki had found a true rival. Marinette asked if Adrian felt jealous, but he explained that this was a different kind of fight, one between two swordsmen that required no interference. As the battle intensified, their swords collided with tremendous force, resulting in a massive explosion that sent Kurashiki crashing into trees and Ikki into a stone wall. Ikki chuckled at the thrill of the fight, while Kurashiki questioned what was amusing. Ikki smiled, expressing his enjoyment of the battle. Kurashiki admitted that he had been eager for a challenge, and Ikki felt the same way. They charged at each other again, swords clashing as they exchanged blows, both smirking despite the injuries they inflicted on one another. In the midst of their duel, they noticed Mihawk, Shanks, and Sirius approaching. Kurashiki declared his intention to retreat, wanting to face Ikki at his best in the future. Ikki echoed the sentiment, and they both vowed to see who would emerge as the strongest. After Kurashiki left, Ikki took a knee as the adrenaline faded, feeling the weight of his injuries. Mihawk and Shanks praised Ikki for his performance, with Shanks remarking on how impressive he had been. Sirius noted that Ikki had faced the Sword Eater, and Ikki expressed his eagerness for another match, determined to grow stronger alongside his rival. As they made their way back, Robin healed Ikki, playfully scolding him, which caused him to faint. Mihawk reflected on the history of rivals, comparing it to the relationship between fathers and sons. Stella commented on Ikki's attachment to his dog, and Urza found it endearing. Mihawk suggested that this wouldn't be the last they saw of Kurashiki, and Shanks agreed, noting that he had declared himself Ikki's rival. 2 years passed since Ikki first met Kurashiki. They had fought several times since, each battle ending in a draw, but neither minded. Currently, Ikki was playing soccer with his classmates during PE, wiping sweat from his brow, which drew the attention of several girls who admired him. As the girls clamored for Ikki's attention, Adrian approached him, commenting on how much he had changed. The girls screamed in excitement at both boys. Meanwhile, Marinette and Stella watched from a distance, feeling a pang of jealousy. Marinette expressed concern that the girls might steal their respective crushes, prompting Stella to deny any feelings for Ikki, despite her blush. Later, a girl approached Ikki and handed him a love letter, leaving him stunned as his classmates cheered. Adrian asked what Ikki would do, but he was unsure. Meanwhile, Marinette resolved to confess her feelings to Adrian, while Stella imagined Ikki with the girl, feeling a sense of loneliness. That evening, Ikki walked home alone, missing Stella's company. He noticed an older couple in the park, sharing a tender moment that made him smile. He wondered if he deserved love. The older man and woman noticed him and offered their assistance. Ikki shared his feelings about a childhood friend who brought joy into his life but expressed his fears of heartbreak due to his past. The older woman encouraged him, suggesting that if this girl made him feel happy, he should tell her how he felt. Inspired by their words, Ikki resolved to confess his feelings. Just then, he turned to see Stella approaching him. As Ikki approached Stella, he gently grasped her arms. He shared that he had thrown away the letter and told her no, which she understood. Stella, holding her hands, revealed her past, explaining that she came from a place where she felt unloved and unworthy. For a long time, she believed those words, but now she knew that others did not dictate her life. She expressed her love for him, and they shared a kiss, both smiling as they embraced once more. The crowd around them cheered, causing Stella to blush and hide her face against Ikki's chest, which made them chuckle at her embarrassment. When they returned home, they excitedly shared the news with their family, who were thrilled. Robin and Astria began planning for future grandchildren, making the couple blush even more. Meanwhile, in Japan, Izumi was with her 2 friends, clutching their hearts. Shoka expressed her pain, wondering why her heart hurt so much. Izumi and Katsumi shared their confusion and sadness, unaware of the events unfolding on the other side of the world, where Ikki was becoming a different person. Back in France, Ikki and Stella were cuddling in his room. Stella giggled, teasing Ikki about barging in to kiss him and claim him as hers. Ikki assured her that he would be hers until the end of time. When Stella asked if she would be the only girl he loved, he replied that for now, she was. Their playful banter continued, and they shared another kiss before falling asleep. The next day, they arrived at school holding hands, just like their friends, Adrian and Marinette. As they entered the room, the school erupted in excitement, shocked that the 4 most popular students had paired up. Ikki and Adrian acknowledged the potential trouble this would cause, but they shrugged it off. Meanwhile, All Might was on patrol in Japan, taking a moment to breathe as he watched a father and son sharing ice cream. He reflected on his past mistakes, feeling regret for neglecting Izuku. Inko, his ex-wife, approached him, reminding him of their divorce. They discussed their son and the possibility of forgiveness, with Inko expressing her willingness to face any consequences for the chance to bring peace to Izuku. 6 months had passed since Ikki and Stella confessed their feelings for each other, and Ikki was happier than ever. They still bickered like an old married couple, but it only deepened their bond. Ikki was spending time with Adrian, enjoying their usual boys' activities on the basketball court. Their playful competition continued until Ikki sensed someone watching them. He urged Adrian to run home and call his dad, believing they were being followed. Ikki slipped into an alleyway, where a figure awaited him. The man claimed to know Ikki well, revealing himself as All for One. Ikki confronted him, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. He demanded to know why his father had stolen his quirk, expressing the pain he endured because of it. Hisashi, the man before him, explained that he had taken Ikki's quirk to protect him, as his young body wouldn't have been able to handle its power. Ikki was taken aback by this revelation, realizing that his father had acted out of concern. Hisashi reassured him that he would eventually regain his quirk, expressing his confidence in Ikki's potential. When Ikki asked if he could be a hero, Hisashi affirmed that every father should support their child's dreams. Overwhelmed with emotion, Ikki hugged his father tightly, feeling the belief and love radiating from him. However, Hisashi revealed a darker truth. His quirk had evolved and was becoming uncontrollable, with another personality threatening Ikki's safety. He urged Ikki to promise that if he ever became a danger, Ikki should end his life. The weight of this request hung heavily in the air, but Ikki was determined to find a way to help his father. Ikki expressed his determination to his father, Hisashi, insisting that he would not harm him and would instead help him. Hisashi warned Ikki about the dangers posed by All for One, a ruthless individual who would not hesitate to kill if given the chance. Ikki remained resolute, declaring his longing to be a hero who saves people no matter the circumstances. Hisashi smiled, recalling the silhouette of his younger brother alongside Ikki, and affectionately patted Ikki's head. He told Ikki that he would be waiting for him when the time came. Hisashi then revealed that Ikki had older half-siblings who would be reaching out to him soon. Ikki acknowledged this, and Hisashi encouraged him to be strong and true to himself, regardless of the challenges he might face. Ikki, curious about Inko, received Hisashi's advice that forgiveness was a choice only he could make. Hisashi reminded Ikki that despite their complicated relationship, the most significant outcome had been Ikki himself. After Hisashi left, Ikki felt a sense of happiness as he returned home. Upon entering, he was greeted by Stella, who hugged him tightly. He reassured her that he was doing well, and they settled down together. Mihawk noted that Ikki had met with Hisashi, and Robin remarked that it seemed to have gone well. Shanks added that fathers often have much to share with their sons. Ikki felt a wave of warmth knowing that someone from his past believed in his potential to become a hero. Meanwhile, Endeavor sat in his office, reflecting on a past encounter with 2 infamous vigilantes, Fire Fist and the Serpent Goddess. He recalled their meeting, where they expressed a longing to connect with someone important to him. They hinted at a future meeting with that person, leaving Endeavor puzzled about their intentions. Looking at a family photo from a barbecue with his children, Endeavor felt remorse for his past actions, particularly towards Izuku. He hoped for a day when Izuku could forgive him. With a renewed sense of purpose, he set out on patrol, determined to step into All Might's shoes, not for himself, but for Izuku, vowing to embody the true spirit of a hero. As the chapter concluded, Ikki trained with Shanks, preparing for the upcoming UA entrance exams. He felt a surge of excitement about returning to Japan to demonstrate what it truly meant to be a hero. However, he grappled with the decision of whether to reveal his identity or keep it hidden. After finishing a training session, Shanks praised Ikki's improvement and asked if he was ready for the exams. Ikki expressed his longing to earn his place at UA on his own merit, appreciating Shanks' offer of a recommendation. Shanks respected Ikki's choice and reminded him to continue training. They discussed Ikki's past, and Shanks encouraged him to consider the family that had always been there for him. Ikki felt uncertain about revealing himself, fearing disbelief from his family. Shanks promised his support, no matter what Ikki decided. Stella approached Ikki, informing him that their parents wanted to speak with them. As they walked hand in hand, Stella wrapped her arm around his, prompting Ikki to reflect on his past. Stella reassured him not to worry, and they both expressed their commitment to support each other in their dreams of becoming heroes. Upon arriving home, they found their parents waiting for them. After settling down, Sirius and Astrea shared their thoughts about Ikki and Stella living independently as they prepared for UA. They expressed their longing for Ikki and Stella to agree to one thing, an engagement. Both Ikki and Stella were taken aback, surprised by the suggestion. Mihawk explained that the engagement was meant to protect Ikki from his past, ensuring that he and Sirius could shield Stella from any threats. Ikki hesitated, wanting a special and romantic proposal, while Stella reassured him that she would be willing to commit to him. Robin asked Ikki if he would agree to the engagement, to which he replied affirmatively, albeit without a ring. Just then, a portal opened above them, dropping a box. Ikki opened it to find a note from his father, revealing that the engagement ring belonged to his grandfather and had been used to propose to his grandmother. His father expressed his hope for Ikki's happiness and promised to always support him. Ikki realized that this was his grandmother's engagement ring, a symbol of love and commitment passed down through generations. As he opened the box, everyone looked at him. Stella admired the ring, and Ikki knelt down, expressing his promise to always make her happy and asking her to marry him. Tears filled Stella's eyes as she accepted. He placed the ring on her finger, and they shared a kiss while everyone applauded their engagement, celebrating the joyous moment. After 20 minutes, Marinette and Adrien arrived at Ikki's house. Ikki greeted them, and Stella, filled with happiness, responded warmly. Marinette noticed the engagement ring and was shocked, asking Stella why she was wearing it. Stella confirmed her engagement, and Marinette eagerly wanted to see the ring. Adrien congratulated Ikki, who thanked him and expressed his honor in having Adrien as his best man. Stella chimed in, saying Marinette would be her maid of honor. Marinette playfully mentioned needing to let her dress have some room, and they all laughed. Adrien shared the exciting news that he was going to be a dad, and Ikki congratulated him, expressing his honor in being the kid's godfather. Marinette playfully declared she wanted to be a grandmother. Ikki suggested they get chocolate cake shakes, and Marinette insisted on the largest size. As they celebrated the good news, Ikki felt happier than ever surrounded by his family. Meanwhile, Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka woke from their nap, holding their chests and feeling a strange ache in their hearts. Shoka wondered why her heart hurt, while Katsumi lamented the loss of her brother. Izumi called out for her brother, feeling the weight of their absence. In another part of town, Inko sat in her new apartment, drinking to cope with her sorrow. She mourned the loss of her only son and contemplated what she would say to Hisashi if she ever found him, knowing their son was no longer alive. She resigned herself to the thought of facing her fate when the time came. As the story continued, it was the day Ikki and Stella would return to Japan. Ikki felt a mix of excitement and nostalgia as he prepared to attend UA, having received recommendations from the entrance exams. While packing, he reflected on how he no longer considered Japan his home, but rather where he was now. Kurado Kurashiki appeared, asking if Ikki was leaving. Ikki introduced his dog, Chopper, and they discussed their mutual longing to grow stronger. Ikki promised to return for their next fight, and as Kurashiki left, Ikki petted Chopper, deciding to take him along to school. When Ikki found Stella, she was surrounded by 10 suitcases. He teased her about the number, and she insisted he wouldn't understand. They prepared to leave, and Urza informed them they were headed to the private airport. Sirius reassured them about flying privately without other passengers. They thanked their friends and family before heading to the airport. As they drove, Ikki gazed out at the city, having already said goodbye to Marinette and Adrien. Stella rested her head on his shoulder, and he smiled, enjoying the moment. Upon arriving at the airport, they checked their bags and received heartfelt advice from their families. Robin reminded Ikki to take care of himself, while Mihawk emphasized the importance of training. Sirius wished Stella safety, and Astrea playfully warned her not to make her a grandmother just yet. Shanks encouraged Ikki to return his hat when he became a great hero, and Ikki promised he would. Once on the airplane, Stella held Ikki's hand, expressing her nervousness. Ikki reassured her that everything would be fine. They spent the flight relaxing and napping. Later, Stella woke to find Ikki gazing out at the night sky. She asked what he was thinking about, and he shared his contemplation of revealing his identity to those who had made his life difficult. Stella encouraged him, reminding him of the support he had from her, his adoptive parents, and their extended family. As they arrived in Japan after a long flight, they passed through customs and stepped outside, taking in the changes since Ikki's last visit. They took a taxi to their new apartment, ready to start this new chapter together. Stella noted that it was a 15-minute walk to the school, which Ikki found to be a good thing. They entered their new apartment with their suitcases and took in their surroundings. Stella commented that it wasn't bad, and Ikki agreed, saying it was kind of cute. He then suggested they check out their bedroom, which Stella was eager to see. Upon entering, Ikki mentioned how comfy it was, and Stella concurred. As they moved toward the bathroom, Ikki pointed out the convenience of the toilet being nearby. Stella observed that it was a Japanese bathroom, and Ikki added that the bathtub heated up, which excited her. He playfully suggested they could bathe together, causing Stella to blush. She welcomed him home, and Ikki smiled, feeling at ease. Stella then expressed her hunger, prompting them to head to the kitchen to prepare something to eat. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, a man in an orange hat was seen confronting some villains attempting to rob an elderly couple. He skillfully intervened, ensuring the couple's safety and returning the stolen purse to the grateful woman. Afterward, he landed on a rooftop, where he greeted his sister, Boa. Ace expressed his excitement about their little brother arriving in Japan, explaining that he had always wanted a brother since his adopted family was filled with girls. Boa asked how they would meet him, and Ace confidently stated that his haki would help their brother recognize them, as their father had informed him about them. Boa mentioned she had heard their brother was engaged, to which Ace responded positively, though Boa insisted she would still give her a hard time. They decided to leave before the police arrived, noting that heroes were already on the scene. 2 months had passed since Ikki and Stella settled into their new apartment, and they were enjoying their time together. Ikki had chosen not to inform his loved ones of his return yet, wanting to be prepared for the emotional encounters ahead. One rainy day, Stella asked Ikki what they should do. He suggested they stay in and relax, which Stella thought was a great idea. They settled in to watch a movie, but after a few minutes, they were interrupted by the unexpected arrival of 2 guests. As they stood up, Ikki positioned himself protectively in front of Stella. The newcomers introduced themselves as Izuku and Ace, revealing they were Ikki's older siblings. Boa confirmed their relationship, explaining they had come to meet him. Ikki was surprised and questioned their presence, to which Ace explained they wanted to get to know their little brother. Boa apologized for interrupting their moment, and Ikki inquired about their purpose for visiting. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Stella opened it to find the Hero Commissioner of Japan, who requested to come inside. Once seated, the commissioner informed Ikki about a deal made with his father regarding his future as a hero. She explained that being the son of a notorious villain made it challenging for him to pursue a hero's path, but his father had made sacrifices to ensure Ikki could attend UA. Ikki was touched by his father's actions, and Ace and Boa affirmed their father's character. The commissioner then revealed that the deal included a condition for the 3 siblings to live happily together. She inquired about Ikki's thoughts on his past, emphasizing that she could prevent him from attending UA if he desired. Ikki expressed his gratitude but insisted he wouldn't hinder his siblings' dreams of becoming heroes. The commissioner acknowledged his determination but reminded him of the conditions, including that All Might and his ex-wife would be teaching at UA. Ace mentioned their father's wish for Ikki to inherit One for All, but Ikki hesitated, not wanting to take on that responsibility. His siblings encouraged him, suggesting he consider their uncle's ideals of heroism. As the commissioner prepared to leave, she noted that she believed All for One had made the deal to ensure his children could be happy, recognizing that he was a good father. After she departed, Ace suggested they start getting to know each other better, and Boa agreed. Ikki expressed his willingness to bond with them, and Ace complimented Stella, acknowledging her role in rekindling Ikki's belief in love. Meanwhile, All Might was having a conversation with his daughter, Izumi, about One for All. She expressed her reluctance to accept the power, feeling unworthy of it, while All Might tried to reassure her. Izumi struggled with her past actions towards her brother, feeling they disqualified her from being a hero. The character felt unworthy of the power and wished to help find someone suitable for the position, believing they could discover someone with a true heart of gold. All Might responded affirmatively, showing his support. Izumi mentioned needing to meet her mother, and when asked about her, she expressed concern over her mother's lifeless eyes. Izumi felt guilty for the situation and contemplated whether she should stop visiting her. All Might reassured her that despite her mother's feelings, they needed to move forward and strive to be better people and heroes, hoping to reunite with Izuku in the afterlife to redeem themselves. Izumi left, leaving All Might alone, overwhelmed with emotion and regret for the past decisions that had led to this moment. Meanwhile, Ikki was getting to know his siblings and learned about wanted posters for heroes and vigilantes. He expressed a longing to have one, while Ace playfully challenged him, and Boa cautioned against encouraging such thoughts. They were all excited about the competition, and Stella thanked Boa for helping her brother believe in love again, to which Boa reassured her that they had plans in place should his past catch up with him. As the day progressed, Ikki and Stella prepared for a date. Ikki was the first to be ready and sat on the couch, reflecting on the upcoming entrance exams. After some time, Stella emerged, looking stunning, and they set off together. Ikki reminded Chopper to behave and made sure he had food and water before leaving. As they strolled through the neighborhood, Ikki shared stories about the area. They decided to stop for a meal at a restaurant, where they placed their orders. Stella inquired how it felt to be back, and Ikki admitted it was a mix of emotions: anger, despair, sadness, happiness, and joy. Stella comforted him, and they enjoyed their meal while Ikki shared positive memories of those who had supported him. After finishing their meal, they noticed heroes in action, including Endeavor, but Ikki chose not to engage. Stella suggested visiting the mall, and they headed there, where she excitedly pulled Ikki toward the women's section. While waiting, Ikki met Eijiro Kirishima, and they exchanged introductions, both surprised by how long they had been at the mall. Meanwhile, Stella was approached by a girl with pink hair, who complimented her dress. They introduced themselves, and Stella learned that Mina Ishido was with her boyfriend, who was conversing with Ikki. They discussed their plans to attend UA, and Mina expressed hope that they would be in the same class. After some time, Ikki noticed Stella and asked if she was Kirishima's girlfriend, to which Mina confirmed. Ikki then suggested it was time for food, and they all agreed. Mina and Kirishima left to grab a bite, while Ikki paid for Stella's clothes. As they exited the mall, Ikki spotted his ex-sister with her friends, causing him to squeeze Stella's hand in surprise. Stella noticed his reaction and, sensing his discomfort, took his hand and led him away, reassuring him that she was there for him. Meanwhile, All Might and his ex-wife Inko were meeting with the Hero Commissioner, who informed them that All Might's time as the symbol of peace was nearing its end. All Might acknowledged this but expressed concern over not having found a successor. The commissioner mentioned a potential candidate, Ikki Kurogane, the son of Mihawk and Nico Robin. All Might was surprised to learn that Ikki was adopted but was intrigued by his abilities, which included mastery of all 3 types of hockey. Inko requested to see a picture of Ikki, and upon viewing it, All Might was skeptical, but the commissioner urged him not to underestimate Ikki's strength, suggesting he could hold his own against formidable opponents. Them noticed that Inko seemed captivated by someone, remarking on his handsomeness and feeling a strange familiarity that tugged at her heart. HC pointed out the resemblance and mentioned that they would meet him during the entrance exams, accompanied by his fiancée, Stella Vermilion, the daughter of the #1 hero, Sirius Vermilion. HC hoped they would treat them well. Inko requested to visit her son's grave, but HC firmly denied her, stating they didn't want her or her friends to disturb his resting place. Inko felt disheartened, but HC remained resolute, insisting that he was at peace. They both left, and AM, witnessing his ex-wife's departure without a word, felt a wave of sadness wash over him as he returned to his empty home, reflecting on his choices. Meanwhile, Ikki and Stella enjoyed ice cream together, their spirits lifted as they shopped. Ikki had moved past his troubled past and was embracing his true self again. They decided to head home to rest before the entrance exams, promising Chopper, their pet, that they would take him to the park afterward. On the day of the entrance exams, Ikki and Stella donned their school uniforms and left their home, leaving Chopper behind. Ikki reassured Chopper that they would return soon. As they approached UA, they noticed a crowd of students eager to enter. While walking toward the recommended entrance, a boy with glasses placed a hand on Ikki's shoulder, questioning their direction. Ikki, feeling a surge of his conqueror's power, shook off the boy's grip, causing some students to faint in awe, recognizing the rare ability he possessed. AM reflected on the significance of the day, knowing it was when his daughter would strive to become a hero for her brother. He felt the weight of his past failures and sensed a dark presence as he saw the door open, momentarily mistaking a newcomer for his nemesis, all for one. However, he quickly realized it was the boy the hero commissioner had instructed him to pass one for all to, sensing a powerful aura emanating from him. Ikki greeted Nizu, who welcomed them as the recommended students from Paris. Midnight directed them to their seats, and introductions were made with Stella and two other students, Momo and Psycho. Ikki's bright smile caught the staff's attention, though they were unaware of his true identity. Nizu instructed them to begin their test, and after a short time, both Ikki and Stella completed it, noting the mistakes made by Nizu. Impressed, Nizu allowed them to enjoy the rest of the exams, while Toshinori observed Ikki with a mix of joy and apprehension, curious about him. Inko watched Ikki Kurogane, reminded of her son, Izuku, who would have been there pursuing his dream. Regret washed over her as she recalled how they had neglected him. Ikki, meanwhile, was honing his observation skills, sensing his uncle's suspicion and Inko's deep sadness, wondering if she was hurting herself. As the exams were about to begin, Stella prompted Ikki, who acknowledged her. Momo expressed curiosity about their intelligence, to which Stella explained their diligent studying and supportive teachers. Ikki added that failing would mean facing his mother's wrath. Psycho inquired about his last name, and Ikki clarified that he was adopted after being abandoned by his biological parents, expressing no hatred towards them but a longing to live with those who truly cared for him. The exams progressed. Ikki noticed his friends, Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka, struggling. Endeavor commented on their lack of quirk usage. AM observed Izumi's resilience, while Inko noted Katsumi's determination. Nizu saw an opportunity to unleash the zero-pointers, triggering chaos in the city. Ikki felt a disturbance as his observation abilities heightened, prompting him to act quickly. As he dashed away, breaking through glass, the urgency of the situation escalated, with the zero-pointer threatening to crush two contestants. Momo and Stella recognized the danger, but Stella reassured everyone that Ikki would handle it. They watched as he kicked through the air, seemingly flying, before summoning a sword and unleashing a powerful slash. The zero-pointer was cleaved in half, leaving the contestants and teachers in shock at the display of such strength from a student. AM noticed his MSDR's silhouette behind him, eyes widening in recognition. Ikki then returned to the observation room, making his sword vanish. He mentioned that he had used his observation haki to see into the future, explaining that the two girls would have been crushed if he hadn't intervened. Nizu acknowledged Ikki's impressive ability, expressing pride in his progress. Stella praised Ikki for his actions, and he thanked her in return. Inko noticed a ring on Stella's finger, wondering why it looked familiar. Nizu thanked Ikki for saving the contestants, to which Ikki responded with a polite acknowledgement, asking if they could leave. Momo expressed her gratitude for saving her friends, and Ikki reassured her with a bright smile. Stella remarked on Ikki's charm, attributing it to his father's lineage. Ikki then asked Nizu for permission to bring his special dog to school, which Nizu granted. Outside, Izumi spotted Ikki walking, his smile bringing tears to her eyes. Katsumi inquired about her feelings, and Izumi explained that he reminded her of her brother. They decided to visit their uncle and aunt. As the first day at UA began, Ikki and Stella donned their uniforms, ready to start their new journey. Chopper, their dog, awaited them at the door, and they set off toward the school. Upon arriving, they entered Class 1A, where they greeted their classmates. Kirishima welcomed Ikki, and Mina greeted Stella. Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka watched Ikki, feeling a mix of happiness and longing they couldn't quite understand. Itsuka thanked Ikki for saving them, and he responded graciously. Tenya Ida questioned the presence of Chopper, stating it was against the rules to have a dog. Ikki clarified that he had received permission from the principal, asserting that Chopper was his companion. As the teacher entered, a yellow caterpillar rolled into the room. Aizawa introduced himself as the homeroom teacher, and shortly after, Emi Aizawa entered with her baby son, Izuku. Ikki was surprised to learn that his uncle had named his son after him. The baby smiled and waved at Ikki, who noted that he seemed to like Chopper. Aizawa then announced that they would be their teachers for the next 3 years, aiming to mold them into true heroes. Emi added that while some would become heroes, others may not be suited for it, causing Izumi and her friends to lower their heads in shame. Aizawa instructed the class to change into their PE uniforms for a quirk assessment test. Ikki and Stella got up to change, and Ikki took a moment to smile at baby Izuku, who clapped his hands in delight. As they left, Aizawa urged the rest of the class to follow or risk expulsion. They hurried to change into their uniforms. In the boys' changing room, Kirishima complimented Ikki's physique and asked about his training regimen. Ikki mentioned his training with Shanks and Mihawk, impressing Kirishima. Ojiro expressed interest in sparring with Ikki, who accepted the challenge. Meanwhile, Chopper confronted a smaller student who seemed intimidated. Ikki defended Chopper, demanding the student confess his intentions. The student admitted to trying to sneak into the girl's side, prompting Ikki to call him a pervert. Kirishima and Ojiro joined in condemning the student's actions, while Ikki asked Yaoyorozu to cover the hole leading to the girl's side. In the girls' changing room, Setsuna Tokage complimented Stella's figure, while Kyoka praised Ikki's strength. Stella shared that Ikki trained diligently, and Mina related her own boyfriend's determination to become strong. Stella revealed that Ikki had a rival he didn't want to fall behind, highlighting the ambitious goals they both shared. Ochako observed the scene, noting the urgency in Ikki's voice as he addressed Momo, asking her to plug a hole. Momo agreed, while Kyoka expressed her disdain for a certain individual. Stella reminded everyone that they needed to finish changing, as their teacher, Sensei Aizawa, did not tolerate tardiness. Izumi wondered how Kyoka knew that. Ikki had arrived early and spotted the teachers in conversation. He approached Aizawa, informing him about a hole that allowed a view from the boys' side to the girls' side, mentioning that his dog had caught someone trying to peek through it. Ms. Joke promised to have Cementos repair the hole, and Aizawa thanked Ikki for bringing it to their attention. Ikki reassured Aizawa that it was no trouble. Emi commented on Ikki's upbringing, praising his mother for raising him to be a gentleman. They noticed baby Izuku making noises, clearly wanting Ikki to hold him. Emi asked if Ikki minded, and he happily accepted the baby, who nestled his head on Ikki's shoulder. Aizawa noted that Izuku seemed to trust Ikki, to which Ikki wondered why. Emi suggested that Izuku might find Ikki familiar, but Ikki doubted it. Aizawa acknowledged that he had noticed the interactions but advised Ikki not to focus on them. Ikki resolved to show everyone what he was capable of. As the rest of the class arrived, they saw Ikki carrying the baby, who appeared content in his arms. Izumi felt a pang of jealousy, questioning why Ikki, a stranger, was allowed to hold Izuku while she had not been given the chance. Ikki then suggested they start the assessment, and Aizawa agreed, emphasizing the importance of the upcoming tests. Ochako reminded Aizawa that they would miss the orientation, but Aizawa explained that UA allowed teachers the freedom to teach as they saw fit. He announced that they would conduct a quirk assessment test consisting of 8 challenges, urging everyone to do their best. Emi offered for Chopper to stay close to them, and they noticed Chopper acting as a guard dog while Izuku sat in his stroller. Aizawa remarked on Chopper's obedience, and Ikki shared that his father had given him the dog as a birthday gift. Aizawa outlined the tests: a 50-meter dash, grip strength, high jump, side-to-side jumps, sandbox jump, push-ups, sit-ups, and softball throw. He instructed everyone to use their quirks without holding back. Mina expressed excitement about using their quirks, but Aizawa warned that the last person to finish would be expelled, shocking the class. Izumi protested, but Aizawa's eyes glowed with intensity as he reminded her of their good fortune in being there. Ikki confirmed Aizawa's reputation for being strict, and the class was reminded that he did not joke around. Izawa encouraged them not to hold back, and Stella raised concerns about potential damage to the school, but Izawa dismissed her worries. The first test, the 50-meter dash, began with Ikki competing against Izumi. Ikki focused on performing his best, while Izumi encouraged him to do well. As the race commenced, Ikki dashed forward, clocking an impressive time that left the class in awe. Izawa then called for Vermilion and Todoroki to compete, and Stella used her fire to propel herself forward, achieving a remarkable time as well. The class admired her strength, and Emi prepared for the grip strength test, dividing the class into two groups. The highest score came from Kirishima, but Ikki accidentally broke the grip strength machine, prompting Izawa to acknowledge Ikki's strength while questioning why he hadn't used his more powerful move during the entrance exams. Ikki explained that he could only use that move a limited number of times each day due to its taxing nature. The other half of the class completed the grip strength test, with Stella impressing everyone with her score. Kyoka commented on Stella's impressive physique, and Stella shyly revealed that she had trained her entire life. As they moved on to the high jump, Ikki showcased his impressive jumping ability, using a technique he had learned from renowned figures. Izawa inquired about his training, and Ikki mentioned his mentors, including Shanks, who was Stella's uncle. The class was intrigued, and Izawa urged them to continue. During the side-to-side jumps, Stella kept pace with Ikki, and they both performed admirably. Afterward, Ikki offered Stella a drink of water, and Emi observed their camaraderie, wishing for a similar bond for Izuku. The sandbox jump test followed, where Ikki executed a front flip over the sandbox, and Stella used her wings to soar above it, impressing everyone with her agility. Push-ups. Emi explained that the next activity was push-ups. Everyone would count how many they could do until they could no longer continue. They all began, with Kirishima and Ikki quickly pulling ahead after 10 minutes, while many others stopped. Izawa eventually called out to them, saying it was enough for the two. Kirishima expressed his excitement, and Ikki agreed. Next came the sit-ups. Izawa instructed the class to perform sit-ups in the same manner until they could no longer continue. After 15 minutes, Izawa told Kurogane to stop, acknowledging he had done enough. The final activity was the softball throw. Izawa instructed everyone to gather in a circle and give it their all using their quirks. They all responded affirmatively. Ochako impressed everyone by achieving infinity, while Izumi, Shoka, and Katsumi each managed 800 meters. When it was Ikki's turn, he prepared himself, calling forth his abilities. He invoked his quirk, Armament Haki, and summoned Inetsu, his sword. Izawa and Emi watched in awe as Ikki commanded the sword to be thrown into the air. With a powerful slash, he created a shockwave that sent the ball soaring high into the sky, leaving everyone astonished. Stella praised Ikki for his impressive feat, and he thanked her while catching his breath. Izawa noted that there was no doubt about Ikki's strength. Meanwhile, Inko and All Might observed the scene. Inko asked All Might for his thoughts, and he expressed his belief that Ikki was destined to wield such power. Inko suggested they should also consider the red-haired girl, as she and Ikki seemed close, hinting that couples often share secrets. As Emi watched, Chopper stood protectively in front of Izuku, who had transformed into a giant fur ball. Emi wondered how Chopper had acquired a quirk. The chapter concluded, leading into the next one, which would involve family discussions and the inheritance of one for all. In the narrator's perspective, everyone engaged in conversation while Ikki cradled baby Izuku in his arms. Emi expressed her confusion about why Izuku didn't like strangers but remained calm around Ikki. Ikki shrugged, mentioning that he had a way with kids. Stella commented that Ikki looked like a dad holding the baby, to which he replied that he had the best father figure growing up. Izuku made adorable baby noises, and Chopper approached them, ready to protect. Izawa gathered everyone to announce the results of their activities. Ikki, Kurogane, Stella, and Ijiro Kirishima were among those recognized. Minoru Mineta, however, rushed toward Stella, lamenting that he hadn't had any romantic experiences. Ikki quickly intervened, kicking Mineta away and asserting his protective stance over Stella. Izawa declared Mineta expelled, which Momo supported. Ikki apologized for the incident, and Emi reassured him that he had done the right thing. Aizawa instructed the class to return and introduce themselves. They all agreed, and Ikki handed Izuku to Emi, asking her for a small favor. He whispered for her to gather everyone together, ensuring that certain individuals remained unaware of his plan. Emi's eyes widened in realization as Ikki reminded her of the scarf she had knitted for Aizawa, which he never took off. They both nodded in understanding before Ikki left to speak with Aizawa. Aizawa inquired about Ikki's request, and Emi explained that they needed to gather Gran Torino, Recovery Girl, Mike, Mirai, Todoroki, and Bakugo's families, excluding certain individuals. Aizawa agreed to help. Outside, Inko and All Might attempted to approach Kurogane but found themselves unable to move. After changing back into their school uniforms, Ikki returned to the classroom with Chopper, and they all sat down. Ida suggested they introduce themselves, and Mina proposed sharing something about themselves. Everyone agreed, and one by one, they introduced themselves and their quirks. Yuga Aoyama mentioned his naval laser and love for sparkling things. Mina Ishido shared her quirk, acid, and her enjoyment of being the life of the party. Fu Azui introduced herself as a frog, while Tenya Ida spoke about his CAF engines and his dedication to following rules. Ochako Uraraka mentioned her anti-gravity quirk and her love for Machi. Mashireo Ojiro introduced his martial arts skills, and Denki Kamanari shared his affinity for electricity and video games. Kirishima proudly stated his quirk, hardening, and his passion for working out. Psycho Intelli talked about her high IQ and her need for tea to enhance her abilities. Itsuka Kendo introduced her large fist quirk and her martial arts background. Setsuna Tokage explained her lizard quirk, which allowed her to separate her body parts and fly. Kyoka Jiro shared her quirk related to her ears and her love for music. Hantas Siro introduced his elbow tape quirk and his fondness for video games. Fumikage Tokoyami mentioned his shadow quirk and his interest in dark themes. Shoka Todoroki introduced herself, revealing her half-ice and half-fire quirk. She expressed her longing to become a better person for someone she lost in her childhood, hoping to earn forgiveness and love when they met again. Ikki quietly encouraged her to keep believing in herself. Toru expressed sympathy for Shoka's situation, apologizing for her loss. "My name is Toru Hagakure, and my quirk is invisibility, which I cannot turn off. I have a fondness for girly things." Izumi Yagi, my sister, possesses the quirk of telekinesis. She is striving to become a better sister, especially after the loss of our brother. Katsumi Bakugo, another friend, has explosive abilities from her hands and aspires to be a hero in honor of her brother, Aiken, who passed away. Momo Yaoyorozu has the quirk of creation, allowing her to make any non-living thing, provided she knows how to create it. She enjoys drinking tea and reading books. Then there's Stella Vermilion, who wields a quirk called Leviathan, enabling her to summon a sword and control fire at will. She has a particular love for strawberry crepes. Ikki Kurogane, my friend, has a quirk called Inetsu, similar to Stella's, which allows him to summon a sword that enhances his abilities. He cherishes his family deeply. Ida points out that Ikki is the son of Mihawk Dracule and Nico Robin, to which Ikki clarifies that they are his adoptive parents. Itsuka asks about Ikki's biological parents, and he explains that his BRH parents abandoned him as a child, leading to his adoption by Mihawk. He has even changed his name to Ikki Kurogane, disowning his previous surname. Ida inquires about Ikki's father, but Ikki prefers not to share much. Setsuna mentions Stella's engagement ring, confirming their engagement. As they prepare to leave, Izumi reminds everyone that they can go home. With that, they depart, leaving Ikki and Stella alone. Stella encourages Ikki, who feels nervous about meeting his family. Holding his hand, she reassures him that she will be there for him. When he knocks on the door, he hears a voice inviting him in. Upon entering, he sees his family gathered. Aizawa remarks that he does not resemble Izuku at all. Ikki insists that he is indeed Izuku, explaining that the sword Inetsu altered his appearance. Midnight expresses skepticism, prompting Ikki to recall a gift from Uncle Mike on his 6th birthday, a pair of red headphones with blue stripes. Mike dismisses it as something anyone could know, but Ikki blushes and reveals a secret about Nemuri, which surprises everyone. As Ikki's observation abilities kick in, he narrowly dodges a playful kick from his grandfather, who scolds him for worrying the family. Ikki apologizes, and Stella reminds him that she warned him this would happen. Endeavor greets him as Izuku, while Rei expresses regret that Fuyumi, Natsuo, and Tuya are not present. Ikki explains that his transformation is due to the curse of the sword Inetsu, which he found after escaping Izumi and her friends. He describes how he was drawn to the sword in a cave and how it bonded with him, nearly costing him his life until someone saved him. Nizu inquires about how he found the sword, and Ikki recounts the experience, mentioning that All for One was the one who saved him. Nizu reveals that All for One provided information leading to the capture of several top villains, and Ikki shares that he has met him multiple times. Nizu comments on the bond between fathers and sons, and Ikki smiles, recalling how his father believes in his potential to become a hero. However, he warns that the quirk has developed a mind of its own and is becoming stronger, threatening to take over his father. He vows to save him with the help of his siblings. Endeavor asks who his siblings are, and Ikki names Fire Fist and Snake Princess, surprising the group. Stella introduces herself as Ikki's fiancée, showing off her engagement ring, which impresses everyone. Ikki shares that Stella helped mend his broken heart. As they discuss Ikki's time away, he expresses joy in meeting his teachers and making friends, including a rival named Kurado Kurashiki, who possesses a sword that consumes others. Stella expresses her dislike for Kurado, explaining that their encounters often leave Ikki injured, as he feels compelled to unleash his full potential. Nizu observes Ikki's happiness with his new family, and Ikki reassures them that they will always be his family. He acknowledges their support, which kept him from straying down a dark path. GT expresses a longing for Ikki to inherit One for All, and Ikki agrees, knowing his father wishes the same. Nizu asks if he plans to share this with everyone, but Ikki decides to wait until he resolves some lingering issues. "That's why Chopper is here with me, and that's right, boy." Chopper barked happily. Stella explained that his dad was the one who gave him the puppy when he turned 12. Ikki agreed, expressing his happiness about living his dream of being a hero. GT mentioned wanting to test Ikki's abilities sometimes to see how much stronger he had become. Ikki was eager for that, knowing that his previous instructor wasn't the best at teaching him to control One for All. RG noted that Toshinori and Inko had divorced, but Ikki admitted he didn't care about them at all. RG acknowledged that she knew he wouldn't want them near him, and Ikki confirmed he wouldn't. Stella suggested they should leave, and Ikki agreed, knowing that his father wanted to talk to him about inheriting the quirk. Nizu asked if they could visit Ikki's home, and Stella welcomed the idea. Midnight thanked Stella for being there for Izuku, to which Stella replied that she loved him a lot and would never break his heart. The only tears he would shed would be tears of joy when they had their own kids. Ikki affirmed her sentiment. They left, and Ikki's family was happy to have him back. Stella questioned why Ikki hadn't shared the other part of the news, but Ikki insisted he needed to talk to her first. As they were about to leave the school, Ikki and Stella held hands, but they were approached by All Might and Inko. Ikki greeted them and asked how they could help. All Might explained that he wanted to talk to Ikki and his girlfriend about something important. Ikki corrected him, stating that Stella was actually his fiancée. Inko admired the appealing ring, noting it seemed familiar, and Stella thanked her. They agreed to talk, and Chopper barked in agreement. They headed to All Might's office, where Inko served tea as they settled down. All Might began by asking Ikki and Stella to promise they wouldn't share the secret he was about to reveal. Ikki agreed, and All Might, appearing deflated, explained that he could no longer use his muscle form due to an injury caused by his greatest enemy, All for One. Ikki inquired about the injury, and All Might described the villain's ability to take, give, or destroy quirks at will, revealing that he had lived for over 200 years since quirks began. He had amassed many followers, but his younger brother, who was fragile and often ill, stood against him. The older brother, not wanting his sibling to interfere, kept him caged. Inko remarked that history repeated itself, but this time in reverse. All Might continued, explaining that the older brother, not wanting to lose his younger brother, granted him a quirk that enhanced his speed and strength. However, neither brother realized that the younger brother possessed a simple quirk that allowed him to pass on his abilities. The merging of the stockpiling quirk and the passing quirk created one for all, a power that has been passed down through generations of heroes. All Might revealed that he was the 8th wielder of the quirk and wanted Ikki Kurogane to be the next. Ikki was surprised and asked why he was chosen. All Might explained that he had initially intended to give it to his daughter, Izumi, but she had declined due to past events. The Hero Commissioner had informed All Might about Ikki, and he had witnessed Ikki's performance during the entrance exams and the quirk assessment. All Might believed Ikki could be an excellent wielder. Ikki, feeling honored by All Might's faith in him, agreed to take on the responsibility. All Might then instructed Ikki to consume a strand of his hair to inherit the quirk. Ikki took the hair and ate it, noting the strong hairspray. All Might warned him that it would take time to access the power and that Gran Torino would be the one to teach him. Ikki thanked All Might for his trust, and they left the office. All Might wanted to speak with Inko, but she left without saying anything. As Ikki, Stella, and Chopper headed home, Ikki couldn't help but laugh, realizing that All Might had unknowingly given the quirk to the son he had neglected. Stella reminded him to maintain his composure, and Ikki acknowledged her concern. Once they arrived home, they prepared dinner together, and Izuku made a bowl for Chopper. They all sat down to enjoy their meal, and after their bath, Izuku and Stella changed into their pajamas. Stella asked if he was ready for bed, and Ikki confirmed he was. As they cuddled in bed, Ikki drifted into sleep. Suddenly, he found himself in front of a group of people. One of them, who introduced himself as Yoichi, claimed to be Ikki's uncle. Nana, his grandmother, was also present. She expressed her sorrow for what had happened to Ikki and assured him that she was now in his corner. Yoichi informed Ikki that One for All had grown stronger and that he would eventually be able to access the quirks of the previous users. But there was a need to work on controlling the power. Training was essential, and it was important to remember that one could be more powerful than Toshinori, so it was unwise to concentrate all that strength into a single arm. Finding alternative methods was crucial. Ikki nodded and then disappeared, leaving the group behind. They turned to see a dark figure chained up, smiling and giggling in a sinister manner. The figure taunted them, claiming to be much stronger than Ikki's quirk and hinted at causing chaos soon, suggesting that someone would soon need his power. Nana declared that she would not allow him to harm her grandson. The figure responded that he wouldn't need to touch Ikki. Instead, Ikki would be begging for his power, and he would take everything that made Ikki Kurogane human. Stella woke up and sat up, noticing that Ikki was not beside her. She looked around, and the door opened to reveal Ikki entering with breakfast. He was trying to do something romantic, and Stella found it sweet. After thanking him, she enjoyed her meal before changing into her UA uniform and doing her hair and makeup. Once they left with Chopper, they linked arms and walked toward the school. Upon arriving, they entered the building and were greeted by Kirishima, who wished Ikki a good morning. Ikki returned the greeting, and Kirishima expressed his excitement for the day. Stella greeted Mina, who complimented her lipstick. They settled into their classroom just as Emi and Aizawa entered. Emi announced that it was time to start class, and Aizawa instructed everyone to listen up, to which they all responded affirmatively. The day proceeded normally, with Saiko, Stella, Ikki, Tenya, and Momo actively participating in discussions, while Emi assisted Midnight. When lunchtime arrived, everyone headed to the lunchroom. Kirishima asked Ikki about his food routine, to which Ikki explained that he consumed a lot of meat and protein to replenish the stamina drained by using haki. Kirishima found this interesting as they gathered their food. Izuku, with a plate full of meat on a stick, began to eat enthusiastically. Kirishima found it awesome, while Saiko questioned whether Stella found his eating habits gross. Stella shrugged it off, explaining that she was used to it because her father and uncle had similar habits. Kyoka chimed in about Red Hair's goofy nature, and Stella confirmed it, adding that he would protect them fiercely if they were ever in danger. Denki brought up Ikki's mother, but Ikki cut him off, asking him not to mention her, exuding a menacing aura that made Denki apologize quickly. Setsuna wondered who their heroic teacher would be, and Katsumi speculated it might be All Might. Ida questioned how she knew, and Izumi revealed that All Might was her father, while her mother was extreme. The group was surprised, and Izumi clarified that although her parents were separated, they would manage to work together. Ikki doubted that, and Shoka suggested they hurry to avoid being late. Ida agreed, and they finished their meals. As they made their way back to the classroom, Ikki closed his eyes, taking in his surroundings. When he opened one eye, he noticed the teachers arriving. The class saw the doors open to reveal All Might and Extreme. Inko welcomed them to Heroes 101, introducing herself as Extreme, while All Might greeted the young heroes and explained that they would teach them what it meant to be a true hero. Inko elaborated that they would train in various scenarios to prepare them for real situations. All Might confirmed that they would conduct battle training exercises, pitting heroes against villains. Inko added that no hero was complete without their hero costume, and the wall behind them opened to reveal numerous suitcases with their seat numbers. As they approached their suitcases, Ikki overheard Izumi whispering a tune, promising to show him that she would become a hero. He dismissed her words internally. They all grabbed their suitcases and headed to the changing rooms. Meanwhile, Inko and All Might waited for the class to arrive. All Might asked if Nizu would allow them to visit his grave, and Inko questioned why he was asking her. Their conversation turned tense, but they were interrupted when their class walked in, with Izumi among them. Inko complimented her daughter, and Izumi thanked her. All Might prepared to address the class, but when he turned around he thought he saw All for One. Adjusting his vision, he realized it was just Ikki and Stella. Ikki apologized for leaving Chopper with Ms. Joke, and Stella stood protectively beside Izuku. Inko announced that they would be forming teams. Ochako asked if they were getting expelled, and Ida inquired how the teams would be assigned. Aoyama worried about the flashiness of his cape. Inko reassured them that they would not be expelled and confirmed that Aoyama's cape was indeed sparkling. She explained that the teams would be assigned randomly. Ikki commented on the strategy behind the random assignments, explaining that they wouldn't always work with friends or familiar quirks, and that adapting was essential. He noted that this would help them bond, which Inko praised as good thinking. Ikki smiled, recalling how his mother always wanted him to be smart, while Inko, Izumi, and All Might shared a moment of realization about his smile. They were ready to begin their training. Ikki looked to his side, sensing something was off. Aim asked if there was a problem, and Ikki replied that it was nothing serious. He could sense someone nearby and wondered about the two individuals accompanying them. Meanwhile, on the other side of the building, Ace was with someone. Ace noticed them and remarked on whether his brother could sense them too. The other person suggested they see what Ace's brother could do, and Ace expressed a longing for him to join them for a drink. The other person agreed, hinting at a potential family connection. Ace had forgotten about that. Back with Ikki, his class was about to begin their battle training. He thought to himself that this was the start of his dream of becoming a hero, and he wouldn't let anyone ruin that. The narrator explained that the team consisted of Stella Vermilion and Momo Yaoyorozu against Itsuka Kendo and Izumi Yagi. Stella rallied her team, and Ikki wished her luck as she left with Momo. After they departed, Izuku sat down and closed his eyes. Inko called out to Ikki, who acknowledged her. Inko mentioned that she had heard about his situation from her daughter, Izumi. Ikki acknowledged that Izumi would share such things and asked what Inko wanted to discuss. Inko offered protection if he had trouble with his BRTH mother, but Ikki insisted he was capable of taking care of himself, stating that his mother's rights had been revoked and that he was fine. Inko expressed her understanding, stating that a true mother would love her children no matter what, sharing her own experience of loss. Ikki felt skeptical about her words but listened. Meanwhile, Stella and Momo were preparing for their attack. Stella used her observation skills to assess the situation, noting that their opponents were in the 5th room and would be expecting them. She planned to fly to the rooftop while Momo would use the stairs, coordinating their attack. Back in the observation room, Kyoka expressed her concern for Momo, but Ikki reassured her that Stella was an expert in tactical plans. He explained that his uncle Shanks trained him, emphasizing the intensity of the training. He had undergone rigorous exercises to enhance his abilities, which made him capable of predicting opponents' moves and sensing emotions. As the battle training continued, Momo hid behind a wall while Stella signaled her from above. Stella dropped down and summoned her sword, causing the opposing team to scatter. Itsuka attempted to strike Momo, but she deftly dodged. Stella recognized that Momo had the potential she believed in. Izumi confronted Stella, but Stella caught her hand and ignited her fist with fire, delivering a powerful punch that sent Izumi crashing against the wall. Meanwhile, Momo utilized sleeping gas on Itsuka, putting her to sleep. The announcer declared the hero team victorious. Stella and Momo helped Izumi and Itsuka regain consciousness, and they all returned to their classmates, who applauded their efforts. Inko asked who the standout performer was, and Momo initially suggested it was Stella. However, she clarified that it was a team effort, emphasizing the importance of trust in teamwork. The next match was announced: Ikki Kurogane and 𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐽 against Katsumi Shoka and 𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐽𝐸 Tokoimi. 𝐒𝐿𝐾A expressed her commitment to the team, and Ikki shared his strategy, revealing that their opponents would expect an attack from above and below. He picked 𝐒𝐿𝐾A up in a bridal carry and used his skywalk ability to break through a window, surprising their opponents. In the observation room, Inko noted the similarity between Ikki's technique and another form of movement. Momo remarked on the mysteries surrounding Ikki, while Izumi felt a flutter in her heart, questioning her feelings. Back in the fight, Ikki summoned his sword, but 𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐽𝐸's shadowy companion hesitated to join the fray. As 𝐒𝐿𝐾A struggled against Katsumi, Ikki intervened, placing his sword against Katsumi's neck and demanding her to yield. She complied, and 𝐒𝐿𝐾A approached the bomb, successfully activating it. The announcer declared the hero team victorious once again. 𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐽𝐸 complimented Ikki on his performance, and as they returned, Stella hugged Ikki, bringing him joy. Inko concluded the training for the day, and the class prepared to change back into their uniforms. While changing, Ikki encountered Emi, who invited him to dinner. He agreed, and as Chopper sat next to Izuku, Ikki rewarded him with a treat, making his tail wag in delight. The chapter concluded, leading into the next one: dinner with loved ones. Ikki expressed his enjoyment of cooking, as it helped him clear his mind. Stella went to answer the doorbell, revealing Ikki's extended family. As Ikki set the food on the table, GT complimented his cooking skills. Emi suggested they sit down, while RG inquired about who taught Ikki to cook. He mentioned his mother, and Stella added that he could rival a top chef. Ikki humbly disagreed, and Aizawa challenged him to prove it. They discussed family members, and Rei noted they were busy distracting others. NG suggested they dig in, and as everyone took a bite, they were delighted by the flavors. Stella confirmed it was delicious, and Midnight declared it the best fried rice ever. Mike expressed disbelief at what he had been eating before, while Izuku smiled at the compliments. Midnight praised Ikki for maturing impressively, and Ikki accepted the praise with confidence. GT asked about two guests Ace wanted Ikki to meet. Ace explained that after losing his mother, he was adopted by a Marine who had a grandson and another boy they had bonded with, referring to them as brothers. Ikki agreed to meet them. Boa mentioned that they would like Ikki, and Ace teased that Boa had a crush on one of them, causing her to blush. Stella encouraged her to share, and the atmosphere was filled with excitement. Ikki then requested to speak with his grandfather privately, and they went to the rooftop. Ikki confronted GT about Nana Shimura being his grandmother, revealing that she had shared this information with him through One for All. GT was surprised and explained that Inko, Ikki's mother, had been given up for adoption while Nana was pregnant. Ikki shared that he had learned he could synchronize with the quirks of the previous users, and with training he could use them effectively. GT was intrigued and encouraged Ikki to continue improving. Meanwhile, All Might sat at a noodle stand, enjoying ramen when a stranger approached him. The stranger introduced himself as nobody special, just there for ramen. All Might expressed condolences for the stranger's loss, and they began to share their stories. All Might spoke of his regrets regarding his son, admitting he had failed as a father. The stranger offered words of encouragement, urging him to keep moving forward. After 3 hours of conversation, All Might realized the stranger had disappeared. Back with Ikki and GT, they had been training for 2 hours when RG interrupted them. After a playful exchange, RG insisted they go home, leaving Stella to handle Ikki's punishment. Ikki jokingly preferred RG's DSPLN. As Ikki and Stella walked toward the school, they encountered the media. Izuku unintentionally released a bit of Conqueror Haki, causing the reporters to back off. They entered the school without issue, but Aizawa noted the presence of someone unusual among the reporters. Ikki sensed a potential threat and advised Aizawa to keep the students inside while he scanned the crowd. He spotted a figure in a hoodie who smiled before vanishing. Ikki expressed concern that this person might know more about him, and Stella agreed to stay vigilant. Ikki and Stella entered their classroom and took their seats. Izuku closed his eyes, using his observation haki to sense the emotions around him. He could feel the weight of sadness and guilt from his classmates, their inner turmoil palpable. Suddenly, Kyoka's voice broke through his concentration, asking if he was okay. Ikki responded that he was fine, apologizing for his distraction. Toru commented on the relentless reporters, while Izumi explained that her father's presence was the cause of the commotion. Mina reassured her that they understood what she was going through. Stella mentioned that they had managed to sneak away, but Setsuna reminded them that they couldn't use their quirks. Stella then declared that Ikki was a Knight of Justice, a title that allowed him to fight freely. Ikki expressed his frustration with those who thought they were superior, boasting that he could defeat them in seconds, with only one rival able to keep up with him. Deku was curious about this rival, but Ikki refused to reveal his name, stating that they pushed each other to their limits. Kirishima praised the manliness of true rivalry, while Mina inquired about Chopper, to which Ikki replied that he was with a friend who liked dogs. At that moment, Aizawa entered the room with his wife and their son in a stroller. He informed the class that he had observed their battle training, noting that some performed well while others did not. He urged Kurogane Vermilion to stop holding back, reminding everyone that they were training to become heroes. Emi added that their performance was still impressive. Ikki interjected, warning that Conqueror Haki could be dangerous, as it could overpower those with weak wills. Ida asked if he had ever used it, but Ikki assured him that he had control over his abilities. Mina wanted to know if anyone else had Haki, but Ikki promised to discuss it later. Emi announced that they needed to choose a class president and vice president, suggesting a vote for fairness. The class agreed, and they all grabbed pieces of paper to cast their votes. Ikki was not paying attention until Stella informed him that he had won. Surprised, he learned that many believed he was the best option. Aizawa then revealed that the vice president would be a tie between Yaoyorozu and Vermilion, making them co-vice presidents. As the class continued, Ikki felt an uneasy sensation from his haki, warning him that something might happen. He tried to focus, but his teachers noticed his distraction and planned to speak with him later. When lunchtime arrived, he and Stella left for the cafeteria. After getting their food, Ikki sat down, but suddenly felt a disturbance as the door opened and people entered. Sensing a crowd, he instructed Stella to handle it while he stepped away. Ikki vanished from the cafeteria just as the reporters entered, heading straight for him. He confronted them, commanding them to leave, and they felt the weight of his presence, causing them to flee in panic. He noted how foolish they were to let danger approach so closely. AM, witnessing the scene, briefly saw a resemblance to his arch-nemesis, All for One, while Inko felt a familiar aura reminiscent of Hisashi. Ikki asked Aizawa where the lowest security area was, and upon learning it was the record room, he took Aizawa there. They encountered a mysterious figure known as the Mist Man, who warned them that they would soon find out who he was before disappearing. Ikki expressed his feelings of sadness towards the man, which puzzled Aizawa. As the rest of the staff arrived, they were briefed on the situation. Inko checked on Ikki, who reassured her that he was fine. Nizu then revealed plans for the upcoming USJ, a location for them to practice their quirks. Aizawa suggested canceling it, but Nizu argued that it would raise suspicion. He informed them that the Big Three, along with Endeavor, Mirko, Midnight, and Present Mike, would accompany them. He also wanted to speak with Kurogane privately. After the staff left, Nizu turned to Ikki, acknowledging that he knew about the traitor among them. Meanwhile, in an underground lab, a man sat, reflecting on Hisashi, who was chained up in his mind. All for One taunted Hisashi, claiming he would kill Ikki to leave him alone, insisting that he was the one who truly loved him. Hisashi vowed to escape, but All for One dismissed his resolve. Back in the present, Ikki and Stella returned to his apartment, where he settled into bed, seeking warmth beside her. The next day, as they walked to school, Ikki remained tense, but Stella held his hand, calming him. Upon entering the school, they encountered Endeavor. Ikki reminded him that they were alone, and Endeavor confirmed he was aware of the situation. Ikki requested to handle any issues if his father showed up, and Endeavor agreed. They made their way to the classroom, where the girls were planning a girls' day. Ikki settled into his seat, closing his eyes to focus. Suddenly, he felt a presence and opened his eyes to see a fragile man with white hair standing before him. The man spoke, revealing that he knew Ikki's name and had seen his memories, acknowledging the hardships Ikki had faced. He asked Ikki to save his brother and, if All for One was too powerful, to end his suffering. The man reached out, stating that Ikki would need help. Just then, another figure appeared, bald with goggles on his face, which he adjusted. He introduced himself as Daigoro Banjo, the son of All for One. Banjo noticed that Ikki was still unable to speak and reassured him that he would soon find his voice. He explained that his quirk, Black Whip, was both offensive and defensive, capable of capturing enemies and limited only by Ikki's imagination. Banjo encouraged Ikki to concentrate and take control, noting that his willpower would make him strong. He mentioned that Ikki's uncle and others had tried to save his brother but had failed, leaving the task to Ikki. As Ikki began to fade away, Banjo urged him to wake up and use his newfound abilities. Ikki opened his eyes, standing up in the classroom where everyone was watching. Aizawa and Emi entered just in time to see Ikki extend his arm, closing his eyes as his skin rippled slightly, revealing something emerging from within. The class gasped in surprise, especially Izumi, who recalled her father's information about previous users of Black Whip. Ikki focused, commanding Black Whip to calm down, and transformed it into an axe. He felt satisfied with the result. Aizawa instructed him to sit down, and Ikki complied, apologizing for his outburst. Stella, slightly shocked, planned to speak with him later as classes resumed. When lunchtime came, Stella had prepared bentos, and they stayed behind to eat. Stella asked Ikki to explain what had happened. He shared that he had met his uncle, who told him he needed more power to either save or end his father's suffering. He revealed that Banjo's quirk was Black Whip and that the previous user's quirks would be stronger in his hands. Stella expressed her excitement, and Ikki confirmed that he had not yet heard from Banjo, believing his uncle was still in control. They both resolved to save his father. As they enjoyed their lunch, Ikki contemplated the need to grow stronger. The rest of the class returned, and Inko, Aizawa, Mike, Midnight, Endeavor, Mirko, and 3 students entered. Mirko greeted Ikki, who jokingly referred to her as the bunny. Aizawa noted that All Might was absent due to being held up, while Inko explained that the number 2 hero and others would accompany them to the USJ for added security. Ikki introduced the 3 students as the strongest from Yu, Mirio Togata, Nijire Heido, and Tamaki Amakiji. As they prepared for the USJ training, Ikki changed clothes and spoke with his classmates. He explained that his quirk allowed him to manipulate energy to create WHPs and potentially transform them into weapons. His friends expressed their admiration, and Ikki anticipated that the training would focus on better controlling their quirks. Once outside, Ikki spoke with Aizawa, suggesting that Ace and Hancock would be on standby in case of emergencies. Aizawa agreed, and Ikki asked to handle any strong opponents that might arise. The class boarded the bus, with Ikki sitting next to Stella, their hands intertwined. Tsuyu asked Ikki what he would do if he met his biological family, to which he replied that he would leave, as they would not be part of his life. As they arrived at the USJ, Ochako excitedly recognized 13, her idol. Izumi greeted her, and 13 welcomed the group, explaining that they would be training to better control their quirks. Ida questioned the necessity of this training, but 13 clarified that not everyone had full control. She warned them about her quirk, Black Hole, which could be dangerous if mishandled, causing Izumi and her friends to flinch at the seriousness of the situation. Ikki stepped forward, drawing his sword and alerting the class to the presence of intruders as a portal opened, unleashing a group of villains. Among them, Ikki recognized one figure, heightening the tension in the air. Then the one holding the cover spoke up, introducing himself as Tamura Shigaraki, the leader of the League of Villains. He declared their intention to eliminate All Might and take Ikki Kurogane hostage. Inko, protective of her student, firmly stated that they would not get near him. Shigaraki responded with a chilling promise that they would see about that. As the villains launched their attack, Aizawa urged everyone to move, while Mirko expressed her eagerness for a fight. Inko insisted they should go, and Ikki urged Ida to escape and inform the staff of their dire situation. Though Ida hesitated, Ikki's insistence led him to comply. Just as Ida was about to leave, a villain lunged at him, but Izuku swiftly used his black WHP to grab the assailant and toss him aside, allowing Ida to escape. Kurogane then appeared, requesting Ikki to come with him. Ikki firmly refused, and Kurogane, undeterred, activated his quirk. Ikki, Stella, and a few others managed to evade the attack, while the rest of the students were sent away. Setsuna questioned Kurogane about their whereabouts, and Kurogane cryptically replied that they were nearby. Ikki quickly assessed the situation, realizing that Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka had been transported away. As Ikki scanned Kurogane's form, he noticed a plate that indicated Kurogane's presence. He retaliated with a kick, sending Kurogane stumbling back. Kurogane acknowledged Ikki's cleverness, noting that it was no wonder their MST was interested in him, especially with his alias. Ikki realized that his father was not in control at that moment. Itsuka, confused, asked what Kurogane meant, but Ikki promised to explain later. Kirishima then insisted on taking on Kurogane, believing the teachers needed Ikki's help. Ikki agreed, and Stella decided to accompany him. As they moved to assist Inko against the villains, Inko urged Ikki to leave, warning that they were after him. Ikki apologized but stood his ground. Shigaraki announced the arrival of their main boss, Kuma, a towering figure that shocked Ikki. Stella questioned what had happened to Kuma, and Shigaraki revealed that his MSTR had retrieved Kuma's body and turned him into a mindless zombie under their control. Ikki, horrified, prepared to attack Shigaraki but was intercepted by Kuma, who blocked his strike and retaliated with a powerful kick, sending Ikki sprawling. Kuma, under orders to protect Shigaraki, seemed to have lost his former self. Ikki pleaded with Kuma to remember him, while Stella echoed the sentiment, trying to reach the friend they once knew. Mirko, realizing the connection, pressed Ikki for details, and he explained that Kuma had been an old friend of his family, believed to have perished on a mission. Shigaraki coldly declared that Kuma was no longer the same and commanded him to eliminate them all. As Mirko prepared to attack, Ikki intercepted Kuma's strike, sustaining an injury. He acknowledged the overwhelming strength of Kuma, whose quirk allowed him to teleport and heal others while absorbing damage. Aizawa called out to Ikki, but Ikki insisted on handling the situation himself. Shigaraki taunted them, revealing that there was something they did not know about Kuma. Inko, alarmed, pressed for clarification, but before Shigaraki could elaborate, Shoka, Izumi, and Katsumi launched an attack against him. Kuma, however, blocked their efforts, sending them crashing to the ground. Ikki, frustrated by his friend's recklessness, watched as Stella desperately tried to reach Kuma, who weakly uttered her name. Shigaraki silenced Kuma, regaining control over him and ordering another attack. Ikki, using full cowling, retaliated against Kuma, and the two engaged in a fierce battle, trading blows as Stella helped Inko and the teachers recover. More villains began to swarm the area, and Inko cursed their bad luck. Just then, the door burst open to reveal a furious All Might. Izumi called out to her father, and All Might declared his intent to confront the villains. He swiftly engaged them, while Stella fought valiantly alongside him. Shigaraki, noting the arrival of all the players, confronted All Might, revealing that his MSTR desired his defeat. All Might demanded to know what Shigaraki wanted, and Shigaraki ominously mentioned Izuku's name, provoking All Might's anger. Inko, distraught, questioned Shigaraki about her son, and he chillingly revealed that Izuku was not dead, as they had believed. This revelation shocked All Might, Inko, and Izumi, who struggled to comprehend the implications. Shigaraki taunted them further, claiming that Izuku had been among them all along, revealing that Ikki Kurogane was, in fact, Izuku. The revelation sent shockwaves through the group, and Inko's heart sank as she looked at Ikki, who now understood that All for One was aware of him. Ikki, dismissing All Might's concern, pushed Aizawa aside just as Kuma seized him. An energy blast erupted from Kuma, creating a devastating hole in Ikki's chest, causing him to collapse. Stella rushed to his side, horrified, while Inko wept for her son. Endeavor, fueled by rage, unleashed his flames against Kuma, vowing to make him pay. As the battle intensified, Shirogaki opened another portal, summoning 2 towering gnomes designed to challenge All Might. The Big Three, alongside the students and Inko, fought desperately against the overwhelming odds. Aizawa, tears in his eyes, charged toward Shigaraki, while Stella, witnessing the chaos, felt helpless. In her despair, Stella cried out for Ikki, pleading for his help. In a void, Ikki felt the emotions of those around him, their fear and doubt. He heard Stella's call for assistance and resolved to rise. A mysterious voice offered him power, urging him to confront the monster threatening his friends. Determined to protect Stella, Ikki stood, donning strange armor and a skull mask. Shigaraki, shocked to see Ikki alive, watched as he unleashed a powerful shockwave, sending Stella back, where Kyoka and Momo caught her. Momo questioned what had happened to Ikki, and Stella explained that he had unsealed the curse of the sword, allowing him to harness its power. With a mighty roar, Ikki unleashed his conqueror's haki, ready to turn the tide of battle. Ace urged Boa to hurry as they raced toward the UV. Shirogaki, frustrated, wondered who Ace could be. He glanced back and noticed BLD on his blade, remnants of a Nomu that had been defeated. Inko, worried for her son Izuku, called out to him. Shirogaki commanded the Nomu to attack, but Ikki remained calm. With a swift swing of his sword, he cut the Nomu in half. Mirko felt paralyzed with fear, while Fumikage's instincts screamed for him to flee. Tsuyu echoed his sentiment, and Stella searched for her hero outfit, determined to find the seal that could suppress Ikki's power. Mina asked what she was looking for, and Stella explained the situation regarding Ikki and the cursed sword, Inetsu, which had bonded with him. As they continued to discuss the implications of Ikki's power, they witnessed him slash Kuma across the chest. Kuma coughed, a tear escaping his mask as he thanked Ikki before collapsing with a smile. Ikki then advanced on Shirogaki, grabbing him by the throat and slamming him down. In a moment of rage, Ikki broke Shirogaki's legs, eliciting a pained scream. He pointed his sword at Shirogaki's neck, ready to strike, but All Might intervened, grabbing Ikki's hand and urging him to stop. He warned Ikki that such actions would strp him of his humanity. Ikki, struggling against All Might's grip, lashed out, sending his sword into All Might's stomach. As he moved toward All Might, Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka rushed to save him, but they were no match for Ikki's fury. Mirko feared for All Might's life, and Stella stepped in front of Ikki, pleading for him to return to her. Ikki's focus shifted to protecting Stella, and in that moment, Ace appeared behind him, restraining him while Boa landed a punch that shattered the mask, revealing Ikki's true self. He collapsed to the ground, and Stella rushed to his side. Ace noted that they had arrived just in time, though Boa expressed concern about the situation. Inko called out, reminding them of their family ties. The doors opened to reveal Nizu and the staff, while Kurogiri whisked Shirogaki away. Nizu instructed the heroes to capture only the villains. Stella held the unconscious Ikki as Endeavor approached, asking if he was alive. Ace confirmed he was, but the curse mark was spreading. Endeavor inquired about reversing the curse, but Ace admitted they did not know how. Aizawa suggested taking Ikki to Recovery Girl, and as they prepared to leave, Inko stopped Izumi from interfering, insisting they focus on getting her husband to the hospital. The class had many questions, but they would have to wait for answers from their teachers and from Ikki Kurogane. In a dark void, Ikki floated, sensing a dark figure behind him. The figure urged him to wake up, revealing itself as the entity within his blade. It explained its role in forging and wielding the sword, questioning why Ikki had let Kuma die. It warned him that he would face powerful enemies and that he needed to be cautious. Ikki insisted he could defeat them without the entity's help. The figure warned that each time Ikki used the armor, the curse would spread further until it consumed him. As the figure vanished, Ikki was lifted by Banjo, who expressed relief at seeing him safe. Yoichi, Ikki's uncle, encouraged him, assuring him he would save his father. Banjo noted Ikki's potential, and Yoichi informed Ikki that he was waking up, having healed his wounds but left him with a scar. Ikki awoke in the middle of the night, finding himself in his grandmother's office. He sat up, noticing the bandages around his chest and Stella sleeping in the next bed. Ikki felt a sense of relief knowing that Stella was safe. He stood up and walked toward the mirror, glancing at the curse mark that marred his neck. He lamented his misfortune, feeling as though luck had turned against him. Just then, he was embraced from behind and turned to find Stella in tears. He wrapped his arms around her, offering comfort as she cried into his chest. Stella expressed her frustration, calling him foolish, while Ikki acknowledged her feelings with a gentle response. Stella shared her understanding of the situation, noting that the one who had caused them pain was now in a better place. Ikki, still emotional, recognized her gratitude for ending that suffering. They remained in each other's embrace for a while, gazing into one another's eyes before sharing a tender kiss. Stella expressed her fear of never kissing him again, to which Ikki reassured her that she would always have that chance. As they settled down together, Stella lay atop Ikki, both of them cuddling closely. They discussed the situation, with Stella confirming that she had been interrogated by All Might and Izumi, but Inko had intervened to protect her. A flashback revealed Stella waiting anxiously for news about Ikki when All Might had confronted her, insisting she stay away from his son. Izumi had joined in, expressing her anger toward Stella. Just as All Might was about to drag her away, Inko stepped in, defending Stella and asserting that Kurogane loved her. She made it clear that she would not allow anyone to destroy his happiness again. Stella declared her love for Kurogane, and Inko managed to pull All Might and Izumi away, leaving Stella to await news about Ikki. Returning to the present, Ikki acknowledged the changes in Stella, and they both fell asleep in each other's arms, waking up the next day. RG and GT observed them together, expressing their happiness for Ikki and wondering about the future. They discussed the curse mark on Ikki and reassured each other that they were working on a solution. As Ikki and Stella woke up, RG playfully struck Ikki on the head, but Ikki noted that it still hurt. They greeted Chopper, who was excited to see them. GT informed Ikki that Stella had shared information about the fifth user and his quirk, and Ikki realized he had developed a better synchronization with One for All, enabling him to use the quirks of previous users. Meanwhile, Shanks, Mihawk, and Sirius were studying a map in search of a sword that could remove Inetsu's curse. They discussed the challenges they faced, including the sword's disappearance and the need to find it before it was too late. Inko stood outside UA with Izumi, All Might, Katsumi, and Shoka, feeling apprehensive about facing Ikki after their past actions. They entered the school, searching for him but finding him in Nisa's office with Chopper, Stella, and others. As they approached, Ikki used his powers to keep them at bay, asserting his independence and expressing his disdain for their treatment of him. Katsumi professed her love for Ikki, hoping to reconcile, but Ikki rejected her, stating his feelings had changed. Nizu and Aizawa observed the situation, while All Might tried to understand Ikki's actions. Ikki revealed shocking truths about his family, including that Hisashi, his father, was all for one, and that Izumi was not truly his sister. He disclosed that Inko was the daughter of Nana Shimura, making him her grandson. All Might was taken aback by the revelation, feeling regret for his past actions and the consequences they had on Ikki. Ikki explained that there was more to the situation, but AM insisted there was nothing left to say. Ikki continued, revealing that when the previous user of One for All passed away, a part of them remained with the quirk. He noted that One for All was a living entity and had witnessed how AM treated him, leading to her regret in choosing AM. AM reacted with a scream of anguish, while Izumi questioned how Ikki could be so cruel. Ikki responded that it was a new beginning for him, but then he was struck and reverted to his normal self. He expressed surprise at seeing RG, apologizing to her. RG reassured him that he was better now, and Ikki acknowledged that it felt good to release his emotions. Stella encouraged him to let it out, and Ikki approached Inko, mentioning that his father had spoken to her and shown her the progress he had made. He thanked her for what she had done for Stella. Inko replied that while they couldn't make him happy, she would protect those who did. Ikki then declared that he was giving her one chance to prove she could be forgiven, suggesting they could rebuild their relationship if she succeeded. Inko acknowledged that Robin would always be his mother, which prompted Shoka to speak, but Inko silenced her, asserting that Robin Dracula was more of a mother to Kurogane than she was. She resolved to start from scratch and work her way up. Izumi attempted to interject, but Inko warned her not to make her disown her. Izumi fell silent, and AM called out to Inko, who reflected on her choice of successor. She left, leaving AM alone while Izumi helped her father up, unsure of how to navigate their situation with Ikki. Meanwhile, Ikki was excited to accompany Ace and Boa to meet their families. His observation hockey revealed a glimpse of the future, showing him and Stella holding someone with a horn and red eyes, stirring a protective instinct within him. As they traveled, Ikki anticipated the challenges of revealing his existence to others, especially Inko, who would likely find it calmer. Stella noted that Inko had gained some common sense, and Ikki acknowledged that his father had opened her eyes. Ace announced they were almost there, and Ikki sensed a powerful presence among the group, heightening his excitement. Upon arriving at the docks, they spotted a ship, and Ace confirmed that they had arrived. Luffy greeted Ace, and Sabo reminded him that Ikki was Ace's little brother. Luffy, feeling possessive of the title, was informed that Ikki could have another brother. Ikki introduced himself, and Sabo and Koala from the Revolutionary Army explained their mission to stop chaos around the world. Ikki recognized Luffy as the person Uncle Shanks had mentioned. Luffy introduced his crew, and they all exchanged pleasantries. Chopper was hugged by Stella, who found him adorable, while Zoro noted that Ikki's sword was consuming his humanity. Ikki acknowledged this and expressed his willingness to demonstrate his sword's capabilities. Boa introduced her sisters, Sonia and Mari, and Ikki introduced himself and Stella. Meanwhile, Inko was in the teacher's lounge, where AM lay unconscious. Nizu entered, bringing news of a problem concerning Kurogane. Inko expressed concern for her son, and Nizu mentioned the incident at the USJ. Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka felt a mix of sadness and frustration, realizing that Izuku was alive but had distanced himself from them. Fuyumi confronted Shoka, urging her to leave Ikki alone, as he was happy with his new family. Back with Ikki, he and Zoro discussed the curse of his sword. Sabo expressed interest in joining the conversation, and Luffy found it fascinating. Zoro explained that the sword was consuming Ikki's humanity, but it had a mind of its own. Ikki clarified that while the sword allowed him to use its power, the curse spread with each use. Ace mentioned their search for a way to stop the curse, but Zoro revealed that there was a legendary sword that could nullify the curse, although it wouldn't completely stop it. Ikki asked for the name of the sword, and Stella urged Zoro to share more details. Zoro recalled that it was a white katana, similar to his own, and Ikki's sword twitched as he tried to calm it down. Ikki felt that the stranger was familiar with the sword and decided to approach him. Stella was determined to find the sword. Ikki agreed, confident in their quest. Luffy expressed excitement about exploring the seas, while Sabo mentioned that he would inform Dragon, who would lend them assistance. Ikki thanked them for their support. Luffy acknowledged Ikki as Ace's brother, which meant he was part of their family too. Sabo suggested they make it official. Ace raised a cup, and they all followed suit, pouring their drinks and lifting them in celebration. Sabo declared that this was the cup of brothers, affirming their bond. They all cheered together, and Ikki felt a sense of belonging. Ace remarked that he still felt some pain, prompting Luffy to laugh heartily. Mari commented on how nice Ace was as a brother, to which Sonia agreed, and Boa expressed her gratitude. Ikki then suggested to Stella that it was time to head home. Stella nodded in agreement. Ikki explained that he needed to train with their grandfather, and Stella accepted this plan. They left the port, using their sky walk to return home. Once there, Ikki prepared dinner for himself and Stella. Meanwhile, in the League, All for One was plotting his next move. He lamented Hisashi's situation, vowing to break him by targeting his children. Hisashi, however, was confident in his kid's strength, stating that they were prepared to face any danger. He had already told them that if he couldn't be safe, they should take him down to ensure they could defeat their enemy together. All for One dismissed Hisashi's confidence, asserting his ambition for world domination. Hisashi remained resolute, believing that his youngest child possessed haki and was strong enough to stop All for One. In a forest in Japan, a fire burned brightly as a woman sat beside a white sword. She sensed the presence of her twin brother, Inetsu, nearby but noted that he was hiding. The woman expressed concern about the identity of the person approaching. Iketsu, sensing the transformation of the user, admitted he had no idea who it was but felt it was someone young. The woman acknowledged the danger, and Iketsu warned her that if he were taken, she would face dire consequences. She affirmed her understanding. Iketsu praised Izuku Yagi for her bravery, to which Izuku responded with confidence. The chapter concluded, setting the stage for the next one, which would focus on training with Gran Torino, followed by a date and surprise, and then a snowball attraction.